It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. John Morant has a bone bruise in his right knee. He is considered doubtful for the remainder of the playoffs. Memphis will be without its star point guard for a second straight game as the Grizzlies try to avoid elimination against the Golden State Warriors at home in Game 5 tonight in Grind City. Tip-off set for 8:30. Two blowouts in the NBA last night. Miami 120, Philadelphia 85. The Heat are up 3-2 in that series. Suns 110, Mavs 80. Suns lead that series 3-2. Also tonight, Milwaukee at Boston. That is a 6 o'clock start. That series tied at 2 games apiece. Tom Brady will join Fox Sports as its lead NFL analyst after he wraps up his playing career. Who knows when that's going to happen? The New York Post reports that Brady agreed to a 10-year, $375 million contract, the most lucrative in sports broadcasting history. Red Sox over the Braves 9-4. Angels 12, Rays nothing. That is of note because rookie pitcher Reed Detmers pitched a no-hitter, the second no-hitter in the big leagues this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in. Jay Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. 4 hours set to go today. Glad I didn't spend much time or any last night watching the NBA. 30 and 35 if you need the score differential. We're good on that.
Nah, NHL was pretty good last night, though.
Who?
I watched a little bit of Toronto and Tampa Bay just because it was on.
It's pretty good. I didn't know that league was playing.
You wouldn't know it in this town.
Oh, this is what we doing today.
Hey, my Penguins are still playing. It's 7-2 the other night.
Yeah, playing tonight, too.
Yep. Finish it out tonight.
I hope so.
I've been afraid to wear that jersey in the city, too. Out.
I'm not afraid.
I feel
I'm
like
just
that's
looking for the throwback this fall. It's going to be one of my requests.
I'm trying to dodge a throw of a brick to the head if you wear that jersey.
The way
in
you
city.
walked up the steps, you almost caught something about 5 minutes ago.
You know what? The way you walk up the steps, you couldn't catch anything.
You're like, how's the new boot? I said, new boot's fine. Then you start shuffling up the steps.
I did go up the steps sideways.
You went up side. You almost fell yesterday leaving.
And
I thought about it. You almost fell down the steps. You almost got taken out.
I misstepped.
Yeah, you did. And you almost tumbled down from about 12 steps down.
Shafe.
And I was thinking about it.
That close.
Dude, it was bad, man.
If I didn't put my foot right back down,
boy, let me have been there to watch that.
Oh, you
wearing
were.
my boot as you're in front. I mean, I was there, but let me have seen you actually fall. I'd have helped you.
Big athlete,
Helped
man.
him fall?
Once I stopped.
Yeah, he'd have definitely little shove right there.
Well, I mean, you have threatened of pushing him down the stairs for a year and a half. So,
I have.
mean, to be fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
If he would have nudged you, you couldn't have blamed him.
That's fair, man. I agree with you on that one.
Just letting you guys know I'm moving my football camp.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
No.
Yeah.
You hold up, Jay. I didn't realize you was throwing a football camp, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been doing it for the kids.
The 7-on-7?
Yeah, 7-on-7.
Had a park picked out already.
Right over
for
in
it?
Berry Hill.
Okay.
Come ride with me, bro.
Over near where Tim McGraw and Faith Hill had their rehearsal space.
So you want to explain that for the people joining us right now?
A.J. Brown moved his football camp from Nashville to Mississippi. He's going to do it as an Eagle, which, of course, he is. I mean, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders because, I mean, there's no reason for him to do a football camp here. You either do it in Philly or you do it where you went to college or where you grew up.
Yeah.
So, but all the misunderstandings that you can find are the ones that AJ's going to run into with Titans fans going forward.
I'm talking about
all of them.
Get ready. Get ready for it, man, because it's even Philly fans, and it's like, wow, I didn't know you Titans fans were like this. You know, like they going in on AJ,
Think
man.
about that for a second.
Ooh.
When you've made Philadelphia fans go,
I didn't know you guys were like this. They were like going in on AJ. What about my kids? What about the kids? What about you, liar?
You don't care about them kids. By that, I mean the parents that are sending that.
Well, just like Tom Brady, you don't care about the kids.
Send them to Kevin Byers' camp.
There we go.
Yeah, send them to KB's
There
camp.
we go. Send them to the mayors. They were going.
You don't want him to
in
learn.
on
You don't want to learn. You don't want your son to learn how to be a traitor. This isn't Benedict Arnold camp.
They were calling them in.
I didn't tell Moan this, but I thought about this right before we came on. It's just like, I feel violent today.
Apparently you do.
I feel violent and random today.
Yes, you do.
It's that type of day.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of.
Boy, a lot of strays.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got on a Buffalo Patagonia hat right now, man. It looks like the Bills, which that's a sin in this city now.
that wasn't the point.
Yeah, but that's a
I know. I'm just leaning in even more, Shafe. That's all.
All right, well, I'm gonna find something.
I bet you.
I'm gonna find something. Walking over here.
salty.
Buck tweeted out, "I don't have the energy for this today," and guess what I did? Tweeted at him with the show handle. Said, "I do."
Should have just sent a picture. Should have just sent a picture of Nick Foles.
Look at the
He
picture.
has the energy.
Look at the picture I sent to him, Jay Ushers. We got the energy for this.
Nothing
AJ
but time.
Nothing but time.
Gotta find that Master P drop from Gone in 60 Seconds. Got nothing but time, baby. I'm gonna smoke you.
Before what somebody just said, every day it just seemed like it get easier and easier to dislike this man. Talking about AJ. You just loved him. You just loved him.
Do you remember when everybody, and when I mean everybody, I mean however many you want to say it was, we're like, what if we take Tannehill and Derrick Henry and trade them from Aaron Rodgers? I'm like, bro, Derrick Henry is a god to y'all. But when you saw that cuter girl in the corner,
What they do?
Nah, not on the corner. She was in a bikini.
What
She
they do?
was in a bikini.
What they do?
And AJ looked smoking, and now he's fat.
No, man said he's fat. He's fit as ever, Jay. Take your glasses off, man. What we got going on here?
I was watching the Gwen Shamlin, the way down, the fifth part. And there's one part with this one woman. It's just like, he told me I could never get to heaven because I'm too fat.
Oh, me.
jeez,
I was just like, wow, narcissist much?
no, baby.
Somebody just tweeted at the show account about the camp. This is good, too. If I wanted to teach my kids how to slither like a snake, I'd take them to the Nashville Zoo.
Now you take them to Hogwarts and put them in House Slytherin.
Good night.
Yeah.
You want to teach them how to backstab, you teach them how to fence.
Hold up. Here we go. This is a good reply right here. LOL, he canceled on a bunch of kids and then tries to get his team, not even himself, to convince an ex-teammate to bail him out and will probably do it too. He's the kind of guy and knows this ruined a lot of kids' summers.
He doesn't live here anymore.
He doesn't play here anymore. He doesn't live here anymore. Doesn't vibe here anymore.
Yeah. He put 3 A.J. Browns, though, on the flyer, an all-Philly jersey.
But you know what you did wrong, AJ?
What'd he do?
You responded. Yeah. You could have just walked away and not said anything.
No. You saw the response
But
to
I'm going to tweet and delete.
Yeah,
because I'm A.J. Brown, and that's what I do.
So what exactly did he tweet?
He tweeted out the what did he say? He tweeted out what I sent you guys yesterday. And after he deleted that, the initial tweet said, before y'all get all in your feelings, my team is trying to get your very own Derek to run the camp. Let me say that again.
Oh, my own Derek.
No.
Your very own Derek.
Very own Derek.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick, Derek. His team is trying to get Derek to run a camp here. He put it as your very own Derek, like he belonged to y'all, and I got a new squad over here.
Well, he does.
But he said, I didn't cancel the camp. I just got someone that you all want to see. Take care. He's trying to get Derek to do the camp here. but he tweeted it out in such a fashion that was just like, hey, get off my back. I'm trying to give you a favor on the backside of this thing. Your player is already there.
Just don't tweet at all, man.
He gonna be there if he agrees to it. And guess what? It's my team that's trying to set this up. So y'all shut up and leave me alone. I'm paraphrasing what he said. I'm saying it how he would have said it had he actually, just gone through with the entire thing. Trying to get your very own Derek to run the camp. And mind you, there is no malice probably between him and Derek at all. He's trying to do a favor and replace the camp that he dipped out on.
I don't imagine there's any malice between him and any Titan.
No, absolutely not.
If anybody understands business, they all do.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then his next tweet that he actually still has up has one word, Jay. Entitlement. I guess he's saying, I don't owe y'all.
He's talking about
anything.
the fans being entitled?
Yeah, he's talking about the fans being entitled.
He's gonna be his own worst enemy on social media. He needs to delete his account.
AJ, if you think Titans
needs to
Twitter's
stop doing
bad,
it.
man.
Yeah,
you
wait till
in
Philly
now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You wait until you have 3 drops in a game just because, hey, players have a few drops in a game. Just wait.
They do.
If you don't like this smoke, wait until it's a bonfire.
How high up, Shafe?
Your brand's already set, AJ. Just play football and
play ball,
and
man.
don't even go. Don't have an account anymore.
Just don't
Put somebody in
engage.
charge of it and have them just tweet out like,
Yeah.
here's
man.
an NFT that I'm selling,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, whatever your brand is. Put somebody in charge of that. You can only do yourself harm from this point forward on social media.
For somebody that he's active on it. I don't say he needs it. Who's very active on it and puts his emotions on Twitter, which is good. I know for sure a lot of people love for guys to show the other side and give a piece of themselves that nobody really know about, and he does that a good bit. Like you said, he reacts to stuff, whether it's lyrics or whether it's his own words, and people will eat you alive if you read it. I see he follows a good bit of people, so I'm sure some of them are fans that he follow possibly. And that in itself could be very toxic moving forward, man.
You know what's kind of funny about that, Ramon?
What's
because
that?
we've always talked about, we want to find out more and be behind the scenes and
Yeah.
get to know these. No, I don't want to know any of y'all.
You don't, man.
No,
I'm
I don't
be real.
care.
You
don't want to know what you're eating. Don't want to know what you're
Nope.
doing. I don't want to know any of that stuff. You know what I want you to do?
What's that?
Go and score 3 touchdowns.
Just play ball.
Go and
man.
block that guy. I've now gone completely in the other direction. I don't want to know it all. I don't care.
Because it can be too much and it can ruin some stuff for you also.
Well, it ruins it that's the whole don't meet your heroes thing.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what's going on, Johnny. I don't need to know about you and Amber.
Nope.
I just want to see you act.
I like Kanye a whole lot more before he started talking a whole lot. I still like him.
Most people, that's the case.
And I've seen this one unfold, this other one unfold right in front of me, Antonio. Like, he said some stuff this week, and I was just like, oh, AB, my dog, my brother. Like, stop letting these people put you in these type of situations.
By the way, Antonio Brown played in a city that had a lot of bridges, and he's trying to find a way to burn all of them.
It's close. It's close. I'll tell you one bridge that AJ burned is definitely the Korea one here. He can't go close to that one anymore.
Can't go to the pedestrian bridge if he walks across.
And the thing is, he can say what he wants to. It's his platform. He can.
Here's the thing. Look, Twitter's not mandatory. I've said that before many times. You don't need social media. I would get off it if I were you at this point in time, because just because you have the opportunity to use a platform doesn't necessarily mean it's in your best interest.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're free to make your own decision. I think most of that is going to bite you here and there, meaning Philadelphia or here. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045. What?
Somebody just tweeted out if them kids was a person, it's a picture of AJ smiling with his arms crossed.
Brad Crawford, 24/7 Sports, next hour. Rhett Bryan later this morning. Mike Sando of The Athletic. Haven't talked to him in a while. It's going to be a good conversation. Plus Ink, and by the time we get to 9:50, we'll need all of that. Be right back. It's Jay Martin and Mo, 104.5 The Zone.
Spring weather in the South can get a little complicated, kind of like your old wide receiver that you loved and now you don't love anymore. Okay? If one day all that love can be warm and fuzzy or even hot, on fire love, and you need to turn on the AC to cool you two down. But at night it can get chilly and you see him go to a different city. And guess what? You need somebody else like Traylon Burks to keep you warm and comfortable. Well, guess what? It's Ramon Foster, and I got the heating and cooling company, though, that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. They are Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have over 20 years of experience serving all of Southern Middle Tennessee. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself for outstanding customer service. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers cost-effective solutions, such as free service calls for repair or free estimates on replacement systems. They back their work also with 10-year parts and labor warranties and up to 72 months of no interest on new installs. So be ready for the spring or the summer or anything that may come your way by getting the best indoor air quality thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have 2 locations that serve you, Columbia and Lyles, and available anytime at springhillac.com. Go talk to the folks I know at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
I'm gonna try not to get into all that, but I'm not gonna look backwards. Moving forward, and like I said, I'm excited.
That was Hulk Hogan in July of '96.
Joining the NWO.
Yeah. That was the third man. And many people would have thought that before last season when Tannehill was still allowed to be called a man.
Hey, man, come on.
What is? What?
Shout out to Tyler Jones. Ran into him at Kroger yesterday. Big fan of the show.
All right, shout
Said
out to
hello.
Tyler.
So he's been listening to Zone for a long time. He said that he loved the fam concept at the beginning of the show, that it just made him feel like he was in the room with us. And I'm like, well, then he got it, because that's exactly what we were trying to do.
It ain't that deep,
It's what
is
we
it?
hopefully have created for a lot of you.
Clearly, the chat, like I've seen new people in there just pretty much dive deep into the deep end with them too, Jay.
So I was grabbing a few groceries, and he was just like, he just stopped me and he said it. And I was like, was it the boot? He recognized me because of the boot. He's like, well, the boot. And I forgot I was wearing the sleigh shirt. That helped too.
Why are you gonna dog yourself out like this, man? Huh?
It's just like, is it the boot that made you think it was probably me?
You AJ Browning yourself, dog. Don't come on, man. Come on. We know you had to switch cities for the camp. You ain't got to bring up the boot.
Cousin Hightower on the chat this morning. J-Mart looks pissed.
Oh, I'm not. No, not at all. I had a good night last night.
Yeah.
She slept through the night.
Did she?
She did hit me with her milk cup yesterday, but
Because she chose violence.
that's all right.
It's all good, man. Hey, everything's going to be all right.
That's a cool looking. Never mind.
Everything's all right.
Dog, what is wrong with you this morning?
No, it was a Carolina Hurricanes graphic, and it just looked like it was pouring rain in the Sports Center studio to get to it. That was cool. It stopped me dead in my tracks. Had to comment on it.
You know what Jason's problem is? He actually slept well.
That's what I'm thinking. By the way, cousin Danny of the Borough called AJ's camp Benedict Arnold.
That's what
camp.
I called him. No, he's replying. He's saying, I think he said Benedict Arnold camp. Y'all got me dead 4 minutes in.
Okay, hey, I missed that.
No, that was what I
wasn't
said
listening
when
to
I
you
did the
then.
"Don't teach your son to be a traitor," and then I said Benedict Arnold camp.
Zach Bunch said Brownomania is running wild.
That sounds like it's dude that got demoted from Lyon.
No, that sounds more like Debo's tweet the other day.
Let's not. Please.
I'm just saying.
What Debo do now? I missed
No,
the tweet.
that was
No,
James
you do
Harrison's
know.
tweet. You know.
You do know.
You do know what it was about.
Okay,
Let
that
it-
Debo.
No.
Let it go.
Yeah, James Harrison. Let it go.
James Harrison.
It's frozen.
Okay. By the way, your daughter's gonna start singing it at some point too. By the way,
No, because she's got to watch it, and that's not going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
Gator Hater said Tannehill is pissed about the AJ camp. He was going to go learn how to play quarterback. Y'all are the worst. You're just the
I can't
worst.
wait to hear Gorilla.
Oh,
Gorilla too.
goodness.
Describe 615-737-1045 other traders similar to AJ Brown.
Oh, stop. Stop it. Stop.
Jordan to the Wizards.
Wow, that was on the Bulls. Cuzzo Gorilla, what's up?
Gorilla.
on, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
I love you guys, and God loves you too, and Jesus is Lord. fellas.
Amen.
Man.
Check this out. Did you guys ever experience the experience I went through every time watching A.J. Brown catch a ball and get tackled, and the way that he would kind of always grimace getting up like that was his final play?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever notice that, especially when the knee issue and all of that came out?
I
I
mean,
mean, he was in – go ahead.
that ground hard is all I'm gonna say. The ground hard. Maybe that's what it was, cousin Gorilla.
Yeah, everybody hitting the ground. I was always scared of that. Now, we won't have to see that, but I think the first thing when I heard of the trade, I really got saddened in my heart for AJ because I know what that Philly fan base is like. You know, we would accept a lot of things. Like you said, those games where he drops 3 balls, those games where he can't participate, and then having mental issues. I just pray for the brother that he'll be all right in that market because that is a dog-eat-dog market.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Grillet. I think he's going to be fine as long as he's healthy because he can ball. He can flat out play, and they'll love him for that.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. I mean, they got James Harden.
Yeah.
And somehow he's not been killed.
That's true.
He's still alive. He had 14 points last night.
Mm-hmm.
Slow clap for the man way in the back. What did we tell you after that 30-point explosion the other night? Might be the only time he does that in the playoffs.
Yeah. He fell back off the wagon, man. So Embiid too.
Embiid had 17.
That's what I'm saying.
That was just they were down like 15 going into the final quarter, and then got outscored by 20 in the fourth. Jimmy Butler had all the espresso. He had lattes out, cappuccinos, whatever you needed, he had it.
It's like, come here, Junior.
Yeah, he had it.
Let me
Vic Damone Jr.
Vic Damone Jr. And the thing about Jimmy can be one of those polarizing type guys too.
He's got old school mentality about him.
Very. Even in the way he moves about himself.
I've always kind of liked him, though, because he's got a savage in him.
Did we talk about the Embiid thing? When the mask? Embiid, this was last week. It was like nobody cared until I put the mask on. And what did Jimmy have to say in the comments? Bleep your mask. That's Jimmy Butler. He's one of the players that you respect them, but you don't want to play against them, but you love to have on your team.
Other examples of traitors similar to A.J. Brown. Give us your best. Give us on a scale of traitor on a scale of 1 to A.J.
I was a huge Bulls fan growing up, so watching
A.J.'s the top of the scale.
Traitor.
I know. James Harrison playing for Cincinnati.
If Jason leaned into it anymore, he'd fall over.
It's treason, man.
Yeah.
Treason.
It's all right, Jay. It's okay. He's going to be fine. He's going to be all right.
I know he's going to be fine.
Will his base be all right, though? His fan base. Who's
still
going? I want to know this, too. Cuzzo Bam sent us a tweet showing he got the email.
Yeah, so I can read it.
It was respectful, wasn't
Here's
it?
the email from the A.J. Brown Football Pro Camp. Hello, thank you for registering for the A.J. Brown Football Pro Camp. Due to the recent trade, A.J. will no longer be able to host the camp this summer. However, we're in the process of securing a replacement player for the camp. Our team is working quickly to ensure this happens in a timely manner. We'll communicate the camp updates as soon as they become available. Thank you. That's nothing wrong with that.
And
there'd be no reason for him to host a camp in a city he doesn't live in that he's not going to be in the summer.
I mean, and let's be real. He was only here for a cup of coffee, too. We're speaking about careers and what it meant, especially how the business kind of took over. Like, you basically just put him in an incubator for a few years, and now he's gone. He's gone to another team. So I can understand the attachment. The attachment to AJ is we finally got our guy. It goes back to the conversation we ended the show with yesterday. You know, when was it? The 8 o'clock hour when we're speaking about recognition. AJ gave you recognition. You still got Derek is giving you recognition. Big Jeff has got to make his way, but he's a defensive lineman. Like, until you get Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, you know, like, those are Chandler Jones is still a guy, you know, like, nationwide when it comes down to the game. Like, Jeff is getting there. To your point, like, Derek is the guy. He really is. Tannehill for other reasons now, but he's the guy right now. And everybody else got to be groomed. That's what you're really hoping, honestly, happens when it comes down to Traylon Burks. Mm-hmm. You got a first-round wide receiver. And the spotlight is heavier on that group more than any other position, I think, in football right now. A young wide receiver. If Tannehill.
He's not paying attention.
If Tannehill can get him to the point of making him a star, because let's be real. Tannehill is the reason why AJ has become a star. Part of the reason why. He gave him the ball. That deserved that, because some people are like, Tannehill ain't do nothing. It was all AJ. But give credit what credit is due. AJ took off when Tannehill got behind center. Like, that's the reality of it. And you hoping that he can do those things for Traylon Burks moving forward. You really do.
Well, I mean, that was the wager that you made, was that you can get that production, even though getting it in year one. If you do that, just jump for joy. Don't expect that, though, and don't crush the kid before he has a chance to walk.
Yeah. That was one of the first things we said on the show directly after, the trade. Don't dislike the kid because of business.
That's the well. You talking about AJ?
I'm talking about Traylon.
Yeah.
Give him a fair shot.
Now AJ, you can dislike. As a fan, you can dislike that he doesn't play for you. As a human being, I don't think there's anything to really dislike there.
Oh, wow. Somebody talking about traitor. Joshua England. Well, if that's the case, I got another one then. Alvin Kamara to Tennessee from Alabama is AJ level. That's solid. I give him that. But also, who's the linebacker last year?
Oh, Toa.
Toa.
Transfer portal.
Yeah.
That's what AJ did. He went into the NFL transfer portal.
He did. Let's talk about that one. Toa is the one. Okay. Corey Toops says Shaq leaving the Magic for the Lakers.
Yeah, that's a good one. They finagled that thing as much as they could. They let the public say he's not worth this money he's asking for, and he used that one article to say, all right.
You saw I listened
Who was
to
it
the
that
pivot.
called him out?
Who
was it called Shaq out? Gobert? Rudy Gobert said he wouldn't have been a Hall of Fame if he played against me.
Oh, yeah.
Rudy
Rudy recently said he dogged Shaq out. I'm like, Rudy, you're not that guy.
Dude, Rudy said that?
Rudy's a great defender.
That's trash.
He's an
Rudy
all-time.
Gobert.
He's an elite defender, but no,
Because
stop.
people forget how dominant Shaq
Yes.
was.
He said he'd have locked Shaq down.
Okay.
He's a great defender, but dude ain't even in the playoffs right now because they couldn't win a first-round series against Dallas.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert said that I would have locked his bleep up. He couldn't guard him. Said O'Neal couldn't guard him. He would have locked him up is what he said. Rudy Gobert.
No, I know. He's
Yeah.
a great defender,
Yeah.
but stop.
I heard AJ's not AJ. He was speaking of AJ.
Shaq again.
Shaq conversation of why he chose the Lakers. That was very interesting because they basically lowballed him and said his dad pretty much was a sergeant in the Army. It was like, son, why would you want to leave Orlando? Why are we leaving? Said, well, Dad, look how many zeros they're offering me compared to what Orlando is.
Well, that's what he says. If you go back and you
What
watch
was
the
the other
documentary,
story
if you go back
behind
and
it?
watch the documentary, if you look at what the team said, if you look at what the media in Orlando said when he left, he had an agent who had his eyes on LA the whole time.
Period.
His guy wanted him with the Lakers the entire time. On that side of the aisle. There's more than one story. If you watch
It
the
is.
30 for 30, you can kind of see there's probably some truth to what Shaq is saying. Matter of fact, I think there is truth. But there's also truth to the idea that he saw LA and wanted to play in a big time market because he saw himself being in Shaq Fu and Blue Chips and
All that came
all
after.
of that.
I thought he did blue chips.
he did do
while
Blue Chips before,
in
but just he
Orlando.
wanted more of an opportunity
More
to
of
do
that.
that. I mean, same thing LeBron did. Did you, Bill Plaschke, by the way, longtime LA Times columnist. He was on the radio yesterday on Fox. He did this big time expose for the LA Times with Jeannie Buss, talking to him about what's going to happen with the Lakers and all this. And it came out. LeBron might be back, but LA has no attachment to him. The Lakers don't. The fans don't. He's like, I've been in this market for 4 decades covering this team. He goes, I have no emotional investment in LeBron James whatsoever. LeBron might finish his career here. He might win a title here. He's not a Laker. Nobody sees him as one.
The pixie dust is kind of just gone away now.
He can wear that uniform all he wants, but no one has investment in LeBron James as a Laker out there. And I get it. I still see him as a Cav and a Heat.
Well, yeah. I mean, and of course,
And his brand was larger than
the bubble,
the NBA.
the bubble championship also that the Lakers got. You know, a lot of people gonna always side eye that,
And
too.
they should, because
just saw a
Anthony
stat.
Davis didn't have to play a full season, which probably gets hurt. He's not available for you in the playoffs, and they don't win.
It was Giannis. They were doing on the TNT guys were doing a stat that they had up. I think it's pretty much 20 and like double digit. I think 25 points or more straight in the playoffs. And it had the stat line said that speaking about the bubble championship, all years excluding the bubble. And I was like, oh, they really are excluding what happened in the playoffs as far as the bubble goes? You know, just as far as the history and the legitimacy of the championship, Jay? I never saw anybody just put an asterisk beside a season of just stats. And they did it because of the bubble championship. It said excluding the bubble. And I was just like, dang.
Mainly because there wasn't a season.
Dang.
And I wonder, if the Lakers win that title that year, because then you ask Anthony Davis to play 82 games.
Yeah.
He's never done that before in his career.
Wowzers.
And if he's not available, he's the guy that was the MVP in the bubble. He's the one that really helped them more than anybody win that title. If he's not there, I don't know that they win that title. And then LeBron's been in LA for 3 years, twice being taken out very early, and third time, who knows what would have happened.
Damn. That's pretty wild.
But just the idea that LA LeBron's a star, but nobody sees LeBron as a Laker. And I understand.
There's been some comments coming in too about traitors also.
Yeah.
Still, if we're on that topic again, Favre to Minnesota, was that considered one?
I mean, they moved on from him. They were moving on.
Riley.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley's a good one.
Lincoln. Well, if that's the case, Corey Toop's been dropping gems in the chat. Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, definitely.
For multiple schools.
Definitely.
He left FAU after getting a 10-year deal.
I don't think you're a traitor to leave FAU for the SEC. You are a traitor to leave Tennessee for SC, though.
He had just gotten a 10-year deal, though.
Even though maybe you
Oh, wow. A college football head coach contract not being worth the paper it's written on. Who would have thought?
about Roy Williams leaving Kansas for North Carolina and then winning titles.
Yeah, that's up there.
Yeah, Roy did.
He went to it. Now, again, he
That's
went
what Roy
home.
did.
Yeah, he did,
He went
didn't
home. He, in North Carolina. It's the same thing with Kiffin. Kiffin and Roy Williams both went home. They went to.
This is good.
Kiffin's home is a hole underground because he's a troll. You don't have no home.
Darius Rucker's transition to country. By the way, he's been very good in that career.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do too. I love him. But he's a traitor, man. Hootie.
Well, A-Rod.
Hootie for life.
JTB says Jenny from Forrest Gump.
We all know what Jenny had, y'all.
She ended up with that HIV.
But she played Forrest, though, man. Forrest was down for her.
I don't know if she
That's
played
a
him or
traitor.
not.
No, she did. She knew Forrest would always
I
be
know
there.
She played.
She played him. She left with a group of guys. Come on, man. While Forrest was trying to just love her. That's bad. JTB, why did you bring this to the chat? This is not what we're doing today, Jay. You started this.
Famous traitors on the level of A.J. Brown. Obviously, tongue firmly planted in our cheek. Speaking of cheeks, A.J. Brown is an Eagle.
He is.
615-737-1045. Cody and Eric will get to your phone calls on the other side. It is Jay Martin Ramon here on 1045 The Zone.
There's a lot of questions that come with home ownership too, and of course, I'm with Ryan Caleb, the home loan expert, and the real question is, when can I do a cash out refi, Ryan?
Yeah, great question. Let's even take it back a step further is, what is a cash out refinance? I use these words because, it's my business. But a lot of folks out there, maybe they just bought their first home a few years ago and they've never even refinanced. So when we do a refinance, all we're doing is replacing your existing loan with a new, improved, better loan. You don't lose the house, of course. You're just replacing the loan with a new loan. Now, generally, that new loan is going to have better terms, right? Like, why replace it if it's not broken? But when mortgage rates are super low, that's a great reason to replace it with a lower rate and a lower payment. And when equity is as high as it is right now, you might as well look at a cash out refinance, meaning you owe $300, the house is worth $400, you got $100,000 in equity. Let's get that money out today. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert, LLC.
So we all can agree Jenny from Forrest Gump is the worst.
Worst ever.
Jenny.
It's the worst.
We're talking about traitors on level of A.J. Brown, and she comes close.
It's because of the camp.
Wait. She's the worst, but still not
You
AJ
picked
Brown.
up on that, did you?
Jenny was
So,
out here.
question. Does Forrest have the disease?
No,
I don't think he
man.
does. He was slow, but he wasn't that slow.
Well, no, he bedded her. And then she
No.
told him
After,
what she had been diagnosed with. So the question was, had she already had sex with her, hippie losers, rejects from Born on the 4th of July? And as such, when did his arrangement with her come into fruition?
I thought they didn't have a child, did they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they had a little boy. He had
They
a little
did
boy.
have
She had a
a
little
boy.
boy. Yeah.
Remember the
missed
end
it.
of it when they're sitting on the bed
Yeah.
and they both tilt their head the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather go past this conversation right now.
Andrew on the chat.
Don't
Jenny
be
was
Forrest.
nasty.
Jenny was everything.
It's free love, man.
That's what they was preaching.
So yes or no?
I go no.
You try to think optimistically.
I
They
am an
leave it
optimist.
open just because they don't want you to know.
It's like the Sopranos ending.
No,
until
you knew
recent.
what
Like
happened
they
there.
were
We knew what
together,
happened
but
there.
that doesn't mean that he got it.
Right.
So I want to think no.
I'm thinking
You know what
no.
Jenny was?
Nasty.
Gator Hater said
magic.
it was hepatitis, not the HIV.
Jenny was magic.
Well, he's still a billionaire out here.
Gator hater saying Jenny died from hepatitis, not HIV. I
Yeah.
thought it was HIV.
I thought it was HIV too. I thought it was clear.
I thought it was.
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, okay.
No,
No, you got to do the show.
We got to do
so-
the show. Come
so
on.
then you'll be talking for a few minutes, and Jason will go, "That's
Huh?
right.
That's right.
That's
No.
right."
I mean, it may be hepatitis. I need to find out.
I thought it was HIV.
I
Implied
thought
to
it
be HIV AIDS, Forrest Gump writer details.
Cousin Brian says Jenny was like the Tupac song. She got around.
Speaking of Tupac, went from east to west.
Yeah, that's true. Born in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And became, yeah, I mean, Pac got to be in there too.
Yeah.
Although the West Coast did embrace
I'm
him.
not calling him that
I ain't going to say it. I ain't going to say what Shafe said.
because I know who was backing Tupac when he got to the west.
Oh, somebody just said on the level of AJ, Dennis Kelly, because he signed with the Colts yesterday. No, come on.
Dennis
he
Kelly
really?
signed with the Colts yesterday?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Well, left tackle? No, he's a right tackle, though.
right tackle.
Cody and Dixon. Cody, what's up?
What's up, Cody?
Morning, boys. You know, you just can't talk about traitors without talking about Ryan Suter. You know, that happened 10 years ago, and that wound is still open today.
Man. Jay?
I can't stand he went to Minnesota, you know.
Yeah, Jason Arnott yesterday, I guess, was on a show or a podcast. I don't know if it was a radio show or a podcast, and basically, yeah, he kind of laid all the slander on Ryan Suter, his ex-teammate.
God.
Wasn't pretty.
What'd he say?
Basically called him a whiner.
Dang. Still.
Complained all the time. Basically said he wasn't a good teammate. Yeah,
Not really an athlete.
not really an athlete.
Cody called it how it was, man.
down my leg.
Zach in Knoxville. What's up, Zach?
What's up, Zach? Good morning.
Hey, gentlemen, big fan of the show every morning.
Thank you.
I got two examples for you of a traitor. J-Mart, I know you're a big wrestling fan, so
Mhm.
not only do I have a sports example, but a sports entertainment example.
Beautiful.
The obvious one is Hall and Nash leaving for WCW, leaving Vince, that crushed 7-year-old me. The other one was not only Brock Lesnar did he leave, not the UFC, but he was the champion for Vince at the time.
Yep.
He left for the Minnesota Vikings training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Two examples I got for you right
That's
there.
good.
Big fan of the show, guys. I'll hang out.
Appreciate that,
Yeah,
call. Solid.
Brock ended up working Goldberg at WrestleMania 20, and they booed them both out of the building, and Steve Austin was a guest referee because they both knew, all the fans knew they were both leaving the company after that show.
Wow.
And so they booed them out. If you go watch it, it's almost uncomfortable. So, in 2019, Forrest Gump screenwriter Eric Roth confirmed Jenny did die from HIV/AIDS complications. During an interview about the film's 25th anniversary, Roth discussed the details of a sequel that was canceled after 9/11, after the terrorist attacks. Here, this is when it gets dark, and this is what I was afraid of.
CJ.
He reveals that the Forrest Gump sequel was actually going to open with the revelation Forrest Jr. had AIDS, the result of acquiring the disease from his mother, Jenny. Roth also notes he wrote a comedically dark scene involving Florida kids that refused to attend the same school as Forrest Jr.
Dang.
Had more dark subtext beyond the HIV/AIDS plot line. One scene involved Hank's character riding in the back of OJ's Ford Bronco during the 94 freeway chase in L.A. Another scene had Forrest ballroom dancing with Princess Di, who tragically passed away in 97.
All right, it's time for him to put the pen down.
Man, I'm just sad now.
Yeah, CJ.
Man, we started off with all this violence and fun and sprays, and now I'm just sad.
I knew when he was looking down at his computer, I was like, he's finding something sick right now, okay?
No, I'm just finding the answer to the question.
Because I knew what the movie was, and I was just like, he's going there, and he did it. Yeah, Cousin Dan, everybody's saying, what the hell now in this
Roth also wrote a sequence where a Native American character who Forrest befriends gets killed in the 95 Oklahoma City bombing.
See? No.
Boy, that was going to be... I'm glad that sequel didn't happen, quite frankly.
Yeah, put the pen down. Jay, what are we doing here? Oh, we had a perfectly good Violent Wednesday going, and you had to look at the director's cut of what would have been the sequel to Forrest Gump. It's not okay, Jason. It really ain't. It's not what we're doing here today. And you're still finding more crazy things.
No, I was just looking through the rest of it. I'm not.
No, J Mort's going to go AJ Brown and go, it's not my fault.
I tried. I'm going to bring you your own, Derek.
I'm logging off of my life right now.
Yeah, bring you your own, Derek.
That was the pettiest thing he said in that tweet, though, that he deleted. I'm trying to get your very own Derek.
I'm not yours.
That's cold, AJ.
Eric and Chris, we'll get to your phone calls first right after the headlines. Jay Martin, Ramon, Hour 2's next. Brad Crawford, 24/7 Sports, chats with us in about 25 here on the Zone. I want to talk to you about PAI Medical, help that they're giving to thousands of men and women when it comes to hair loss. They are real experts over there. They're great people, too. If you ever get to really just sit down with them, they'll talk to you about anything. But surgical, non-surgical, they've got the most advanced options anywhere in the country. They really understand hair, and they understand cost. When it comes to cost, they've got affordable payment plans that fit anyone's budget. If you need surgical options, they've got that, but non-surgical, the most advanced, like I said, nutrient-rich plasma extracted from your blood, they can do that. They can do the laser therapy treatments that regenerate sleeping hair follicles and in balding spots. They can help just thicken up if it just feels like it's thinning out a little bit. This is a progressive condition. It's not something that goes away, something that affects a lot of us. And if it's just something you could take off your plate, something where that stressor is no longer there, why wouldn't you consider it? It's a natural process. It's your own hair. It's your own stuff. It's your own body. And it's a gradual process as well. It's not an overnight thing. It's a game changer. It really is. I know some people that have used PAI, including myself, and I'm glad that I did. They've been in Nashville for over 25 years. All they do is hair. They're very best at it. Call them today. Let them just take a look and show you what they can do for you. I think you'll be impressed. 615-376-6010. That's 376-6010. Talk to Michael Ramsey or his staff, or hit them up online and get all the info you need at wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com.
7:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. John Morant, a bone bruise in his right knee, doubtful for the remainder of the playoffs. Memphis will be without its star point guard for a second straight game as the Grizz try to avoid elimination against the Golden State Warriors at home in Grind City tonight. Game 5 tip-off set for 8:30. Milwaukee is at Boston at 6 p.m. tonight as well. Yesterday, Miami 120-85 win over the Sixers. The Heat are up 3-2. Suns routed the Mavs 110-80. Suns up 3-2 in that one. Tom Brady will join Fox Sports as its lead NFL analyst after he wraps up his playing career, which who knows when that's going to be. The New York Post reports Brady agreed to a 10-year, $375 million contract, the most lucrative in sports broadcasting history. Maybe they can start calling him TB12. Hey, I don't write them. I just read them. Red Sox defeated the Braves 9-4. Angels a 12-0 win over the Rays. Most notable about that win for L.A., rookie pitcher Reed Detmers pitched a no-hitter, the second no-hitter in the big leagues this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Second hour. J. Martin Ramon here. 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Guest a little peer view the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. That'll include Brad Crawford, 24/7 Sports, who will join us about 7:20 this morning.
Yeah.
Be able to talk to him about everything happening in college sports and start talking traitors. Question I asked, tongue firmly in cheek. Traitors on the level of A.J. Brown. We revealed that Jenny from Forrest Gump is the worst, so she's close to AJ. She's in the vicinity of AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Which means AJ also lives in Greenbow.
Can I do something real quick?
Right, the radio show?
Right
Yes.
quick. Yes, radio show. But never seen a kid more happier in his life than double digits.
Oh,
My
yeah.
youngest, Miles. Today is his birthday. I remember distinctly him getting pulled out of the delivery room. And what's crazy, the nurse that helped deliver him had a Tennessee chain on too, by the way. It was pretty crazy. She was a nurse there at the stadium. It was at the hospital. It was pretty cool. So I just want to say happy first double-digit birthday. He's 10 today, to my youngest, Miles.
Nice.
Young Savage. Both of them are Young Savage. I just had to give my kid a shout-out real quick.
Well, you should.
Happy birthday, kid. Love
Happy
you.
birthday, Miles.
The older one's already an adult. He's already smoking cigarettes. What are you talking about?
He's driving him to school
He's like
right
6'8".
now. No, for real? You want to hear this? His basketball coach measured him. He's freaking 6'4".
Well,
How
that's
old is he
okay when
again?
you're 21.
But I wasn't even 6'4" in the 8th grade. I didn't get 6'4" to like my 9th going into the 10th grade year. And I'm like, what the heck am I raising right now? I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not okay with being eye to eye with my kid at 13 just yet. I'm not.
I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that.
CG's on her way. No, your wife
But
will.
she is, yes. So apparently she was taken yesterday to she was taken to story time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she just watched kids with the trains and she waves at everybody and everybody loves her. But she's bigger than 18 and 24-month-old. She's taller.
Put a ball in her hand now. Volleyball too. It don't matter. Softball. Monica Abbott. I'm trying to introduce you to this sports world, and I know you're like, Mom, you're gone every weekend. You got something going on, but guess what, Jay? They're giving out scholarships and NIL deals. We can ask.
Put a book in her hand. I don't need a basketball in her hand.
Okay.
Carl in the borough.
got two hands.
Carl, what do you have for us?
Hey, Jay, morning, man.
Morning.
Hey, two things about traitors real quick. And biggest one for me, like I said, I'm from the Bay Area, is when the Raiders left Oakland the first time. My grandparents were diehard Raider fans, so they moved, and it's like the love for the Raiders, like they fell off after that first move. And then, Jay, I don't know if you can put some insight for me on this. When
Big Show was in WCW.
Yep.
And he was going to Giant, and they were going to use him as the Titan. That was his character going to be in WWF. And Bischoff blew that up, and that was just one that I remembered. I was like a big WCW guy, and I'm like, no, he can't leave, and he did. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
And just real quick, Ron, happy birthday to your son, Miles. That's awesome. And real quick, my oldest is 16, and I'm 6'2", 230. My son's 6'4", 250. I'm like, oh my God, how big that is! I'm looking up at him. I'm like, dang. So watch out when she gets taller, Jay. She might be looking down at you.
No, if she's looking down at me, then she has to play basketball.
She better do something.
If she's if she's 6'4" or whatever, then yeah, she can play hoops.
Your average says that. Your wife is what, 5'10", 5'10", and you're 6'3". Your average says she could be taller than you. Yeah. Good luck, buddy. I got some 14s at the house.
Dots and pairs.
Yeah, for real. Oh, that's awesome. I feel you, Dad. Like, looking up at your kid eye to eye is different.
I mean, I feel bad for RJ because you got to carry his birth certificate around everywhere you go.
I do. It's just different.
I mean, coaches look at him like, why do you have 5 o'clock shadow at 12:30? What's going on, young
man?
man?
You are not eligible, sir. Sir,
this is a Wendy's.
Yeah.
This is for 12-year-olds. Like, no, sir, we're good.
Eric in Nashville, what's up, E?
What's up, E?
Hey, guys. When I first called him the sheriff, I had one, but while I was on hold, I actually thought of 4 others, so I have 5, and I'll run through them right quick.
Go ahead.
Rick Pitino, when he left Kentucky to go to Louisville.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Top 10, yeah, that's one. Also, Terrell Owens, when he went from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, if you remember, one point he played for the 49ers and did that ridiculous stuff on the star in Dallas. Wade Boggs and Roger Clemens had both left the Boston Red Sox to go to the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And the last one, even though he is, I have no problem with what he did. He's beloved around the state. A lot of people would say Peyton Manning when he signed with the University of Tennessee and then go to Ole Miss. Man, Ole Miss fans consider him a traitor. I understand why he did it, but that's, of course, another one, guys. Y'all take care.
I like you said, hey, he also played for the 49ers. That's where like T.O. started. He became an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
It's him and Jeff Garcia.
He's right about the Mannings, too. They've actually done everything that nobody thought they would do in their college choosing. Well, I'll say Peyton and Eli. I don't know where the other one's going to go to. Where is it? Georgia, maybe?
To the highest bidder.
They said money wasn't the issue, Shay.
Money.
I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? Young Arch Manning. I saw his rating. He's got a perfect recruit rating. How much pressure is that?
A lot. Sometimes you live up to it. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Every other guy in the family,
I mean,
has lived up to something there. That's a lot to put on a kid.
It really is.
Jerry and Mount Juliet. What's up, Jerry?
What's up, Jerry?
Hey, guys. I'm a long-suffering fan of football, and if I give you a hint, Ramon Foster's the only Steeler I follow on Twitter because Art Modell is the biggest traitor in the history of sports.
Wow.
Because the Browns
Yeah.
to Baltimore and everything.
When he pulled up one of the most historic franchises in the history of the NFL
Yep.
and trashed them and booed them to Baltimore and got our 2 Super Bowls, I'm pretty salty about that.
Yeah. You know what? I just want to say
Jerry.
I sympathize with you because if you're still holding them down, that you are a strong-minded person, man, and I hope I don't trash them as much as it seems on social media.
No, every time I read something or hear something about it, I just remember it ain't always been like this.
Yeah.
And maybe one day it won't be like this anymore. So.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's always good to dream, Jerry.
A Browns fan.
You know, to a lot of people in Houston, Bud Adams is a traitor.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Well,
Took the Oilers.
Took the Oilers up here. It's always a matter of perspective.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's regionalized, all of those things. Ron in the Borough. What's up, Ron?
What's up, Ron?
Hey, guys. Double whammy for Phil Mickelson, defending PGA champion who's trying to go to the live golf league, Saudi Arabia, and back with Greg Norman and lead other PGA players there. And also getting rid of Bones, his longtime caddy, for his brother. That's a double whammy.
That's true.
That is kind of
Bones
scummy.
went and did TV for a while.
He did?
And now he's with Justin Thomas.
That's kind of scummy. The Phil's just move at his own beat, though, doesn't he?
That's what gamblers do, man. That's what degenerates do.
Shooter star, baby. Just young shooter is who he is. Well, he's doing the same thing to the PGA with this new league,
Saudi
too, right?
League, the LIV league.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting $30 million up front just to appear in 8 tournaments.
What?
$30 million. That's his fee up front. I've heard they've offered Bryson DeChambeau $125 million just to appear in all the events.
So the attitude thing it worked out for him, for DeChambeau.
Well, I mean, like
it helped the brand.
It helped the brand.
People know who he is. But I think the bigger thing is just, and I had somebody ask me this over the weekend, what's up with Saudi Arabian golf? I'm just like, they have more money. They just have a ton of money. They can throw at anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what they do is they spend money on things to impress and entertain the dignitaries. Like the higher-ups in government, if they like something, they'll spend a ton of money to make them happy to have it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the country wants, doesn't matter what other people want. That when WWE does shows there, the dignitaries get these rocking chairs. They get to sit in and watch the events and things. Everybody else has seats. You can't see a thing.
Wow. Well, I mean, you got to look at this, too. They're dealing with a blank canvas when it comes to them crafting golf courses and paying for golf courses. I mean, they're in the middle of nowhere. It pretty much made an oasis out of a desert.
It's a wonder wall. Buffalo on line 1. Buffalo, what's up?
Buff?
I'm going to have to say the relationship between the Houston Oilers and Bud Adams and their fans, whenever they left Houston couldn't stand those people. That was a bad relationship. And then Jim McMahon playing backup for the Green Bay Packers when he was I guess it was after the 85 Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would definitely count.
I think it was a few years later he ended up going to Green Bay, but yeah.
Wow. I mean, in recent history, would you throw Odell in there, leaving the Browns the way he did?
No, because everybody wants to get the hell out of Cleveland.
We die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. A.J. Brown's living that life right now.
Could have died a hero here.
Come buy out with me, bro.
AJ said,
yeah, but not
if Julio went to Philly, how would you? If Julio went to Philly and they all balled out and ended up in the Super Bowl, how would Titans fans feel about that?
Yeah, problem is Julio ain't going to be able to ball out for anybody. Can't stay healthy.
Correct. That's the right answer. I was hopefully setting it up for somebody to say that.
I'm disrespectful.
Dunked out one.
Well done. Brad Crawford, 24/7 Sports. We'll talk about these new proposals, certainly where we stand right now with the SEC. Just college sports is just stupid. Plus, is Lincoln Riley doing things he shouldn't be doing? Or do you shrug your shoulders?
By the way, speaking of villains or traitors, Steve Spurrier ended up going to South Carolina.
Sure did.
Indirectly. I mean, he went to Washington first and golfed for a while.
No, but still, people take that stuff personally.
The reason he took the SC job is what I've always found the funniest. Why he went to South Carolina.
Wow.
I remember hearing it because I was living there at the time that he got that job. Talked to folks that were close to that program at the time. They gave him a lifelong membership to Augusta.
Yo, for real? What's that? It's like $30,000 a year or something.
Very expensive, and you got to be asked. Like it's
Augusta did it. I'd have taken it to hell.
J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. When was the last time you cleaned your air ducts? If you can't remember, probably means it's time to get them cleaned. You can actually save 10% off a duct cleaning, your next one with Lee Company today. Why are you asking that question? Because it's trapping dust, debris, pet hair, and more. It also means that your HVAC's probably working too hard, which means you're spending more money on energy costs than you need to get less fresh air. You can enjoy fresher air, less dust, increased HVAC efficiency if you get your air ducts clean. So it's something you need to get done. And, I mean, it's just something you can check off the list. But if you're saving energy costs plus 10% off that duct cleaning, Let's make that call today, folks. Call Lee Company today, 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000, or visit them online at leecompany.com/promotions and claim this offer today. J. Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So there's debate. Somebody basically told the screenwriter who wanted to do the Forrest Gump sequel as well, it wasn't AIDS. And he said, no, it was supposed to be AIDS. And then the person, I was reading a Quora for him. The Quora's like, doesn't matter what you say, you're wrong. It's just like, no, it's my movie.
It's my movie.
And the guy's like, no, you're wrong. It was hepatitis C. Like, refused to accept. I was just watching this. I was just like, man, I hate this right here. Just want to
I hate when people
climb
do
into
that.
a hole.
I hate it here.
Don't tell me what I was saying. I know what I was saying.
But I made the movie. It doesn't matter. This is what you meant. What? Why are we on this? Because we were talking about famous traitors on the level of A.J. Brown. Tongue firmly in cheek, folks.
Yeah, no, that's no slander. The only slander happened on social media when everybody's saying AJ says, forget those kids.
To the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline, Brad Crawford, 24/7 Sports is there. Brad, good morning.
How you guys doing, man? Haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, pretty good. A.J. Brown's no longer a Titan, so that's we've had fun and not so much fun with that over the last few weeks. When you think of traitors in sports, what comes to mind?
Oh, traitors in sports. Probably Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a LeBron fan, so I'm not going to mention LeBron being a villain in my book. But, yeah, I mean, probably KD bouncing from championship team to championship team, and now seeing him fail in Brooklyn, that was kind of sweet in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he went from one team that got beat by the team that then won the championship to that team after they won the championship. So that's definitely on the list. College, you're a college football guy, obviously. So in the college ranks, do you look at something like Rick Pitino? We had somebody suggest Rick Pitino going from Kentucky to Louisville. I mentioned, Tobacco Road being in my backyard. Even Roy Williams leaving Kansas for North Carolina. At least if you're a Kansas fan, and then watching him win titles at North Carolina after not ever being able to cash it in at Kansas. And then there's probably a number of college football coaches. People tried to go with Nick Saban going from the Dolphins to Alabama. I wasn't sure I could get there because I didn't think he was in Miami long enough to have been a traitor.
If you ask an Oklahoma fan right now, man,
yes,
they're going to have, Lincoln Riley at the top of their list in terms of trade. I mean, every Oklahoma fan on social media, Facebook and Twitter, I've noticed the last few months, they're still bitter over this. Him, leaving Oklahoma after that regular season finale last year at Oklahoma State and going to USC. But I mean, can you really blame Lincoln Riley? Is he this big of a villain right now in Norman? I'm very interested to seeing, Oklahoma, USC. We know we're going to see a future playoff matchup between those two programs.
Yeah, I talked to Chris Plank, who does their sideline report, and I talked to him over the weekend, and he said, man, Lincoln Riley was such a nice guy, but they hate his guts.
Yeah, they do.
Down here now. What do you think of the situation with Addison and the transfer portal and how everything's sticking to Lincoln Riley now? They're going back in time to try and find other potential tampering issues.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time carrying Brad because I just feel like everybody is doing something, and with no structure and no enforcement arm, I don't blame a Lincoln Riley, even if there is something here where you're like, you might need to take a cold shower after this, but everybody's doing something.
Yeah, it's not against the rules right now, and especially from a player standpoint. I mean, how could anybody fault Jordan Addison? I've seen a lot of Pitt fans saying, how dare our best player bail on the program. I mean, did he really bail on the program? He's going to make, some of the rumored estimates are $2 to $3 million elsewhere, whether that's USC, Texas, or Bama. That's the three, in my opinion, that he's going to ultimately decide between. But, Pat Narduzzi has come out and sort of thrown some shade in Jordan's way. But look, Pat Narduzzi makes almost $6 million a year. Why is he complaining?
Right.
So I don't know, man. I find it very interesting, and it's kind of unfortunate that an NIL and transfer portal has dominated the off-season conversation. However, it has resulted in, plenty of story ideas for us media types.
No doubt. No, I mean, Narduzzi's complaining about that, and he's in Pitt making that money, man. I mean, yeah, I think that's way above the line. But as far as this goes, we were speaking about villains and traitors and stuff like that, and somebody brought up the idea that Peyton not going to, what was it, Ole Miss and Eli and all, but their nephew, Arch. What's going to be his recruiting, man? I know he just reeled off his top 3 yesterday: Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, man. What can this kid actually mean to a program? I saw you guys had him as a perfect one.
Way to be off the beaten path, by the way, Arch, on your top 3. Way to really go outside the box.
Yeah, but he's
way to change the game.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about this kid and what he could do for either one of these programs.
Yeah, in my opinion, man, Alabama's probably, they're kind of lagging behind Texas and Georgia in this recruitment. I know Bama has offered Eli Holstein, another top quarterback in that class, and they like him a lot. And, the word kind of around Tuscaloosa is Nick Saban's not going to wait on Arch. He likes this other kid a lot. And Texas and Georgia more or less are putting all their eggs in the Arch Manning basket. I think ultimately he signs with Texas. I think Steve Sarkisian on the recruiting trail, at least right now, has secured a ton of momentum, and he can go do something at Texas that hasn't been done since 2005 when Vince Young ran to the pylon and beat USC for a national title. And in Georgia, here we are coming off a national title with a quarterback that might not even be top 10 in the SEC in Stetson Bennett. So you don't have to be a star quarterback and win big at Georgia. Bulldogs just showed that. So if I'm Arch Manning, I'm with you guys, man. I might look outside the box and try to be a star at a program maybe that hasn't won a national title or hadn't gotten one in decades. But that being said, I think it's Texas and Georgia, and I'm pretty interested to seeing which one he sides with.
And that's what's so interesting about this era that we're in now of NIL. I think more than anything, if you have the right collective, let's just be honest about it, then you have an opportunity to kind of raise everybody up to where you're getting to the point to where, we can potentially compete with an Alabama or Georgia if you can snag the right player like Addison, you know what I'm saying, like out of Pitt. Is that what we're seeing more or less with the NIL, although some people are going to complain about what it's actually doing?
I mean, if I'm Jordan Addison, man, I'm looking at my current quarterback situation at Pitt, knowing that I'm not going to have another 1,600-yard season most likely with Keaton Slovis throwing me passes. No disrespect, but, I mean, going from, Heisman finalist Kenny Pickett to Slovis, it's a big drop-off. And if I'm Jordan, I'm kind of looking at the teams that in the mix and seeing what the quarterback, situation is. Jordan's a first-round pick no matter where he goes. However, making number 28 overall money versus number 5 overall money as the first, offensive player or something taken at, say, Bama with Bryce Young, then it's a huge difference. So not only is the I'll just call it a salary for next season important for Jordan Addison, but also is this program that I play my final season at going to promote me in a way that I'm going to have another Biletnikoff type year and be a top 10 selection.
So, Brad, all the early 2023 NFL mock drafts that come out with those, ridiculous. They have CJ. Yeah, it's preposterous. CJ's number 1 and Bryce Young is number 2. What is it about CJ Stroud that might give him the edge over Bryce Young? And I assume if you're looking at that, you're probably also looking that direction when it goes to the Heisman. Do you evaluate it the same way, or do you favor Bryce, or what?
Yeah, actually, CJ Stroud is my preseason Heisman pick to win it all. I think he has the best players around him at the skill spots. I mean, even Ohio State running back TreVeyon Henderson had 1,300 yards last year, and no one's talking about him. They talk about the Buckeyes wide receiver room, and rightfully so. But Stroud is 6'3", 6'4", 225. He's a few inches taller than Bryce, and Bryce's major upside is he could be a Russell Wilson type at the next level. CJ Stroud is another pocket passer who, with the right system can have a Joe Burrow type impact early. I don't really see that in Bryce Young's future, at least not immediately. So Stroud would be my number 1, and man, I've seen as many as 7 quarterbacks go in these mock first rounds, and I don't know. I just don't see that class producing 7 first rounders. Stroud and Young are the top 2, and from there, I think it's kind of a mixed bag between 5 and 6 guys.
So tell me about Will Levis. Obviously, we're going to see him at Kentucky. I've seen him as high as 5 on some of these lists and all this. And, of course, like I said, I roll my eyes just like you do doing this in May. And there'll be names that we haven't even thought of that will be talked about and touted by the time we get to the end of the college football season. But how good do you think Will Levis can be in an East that feels a little more wide open once you get past Georgia?
Yeah, I think we're going to see what kind of quarterback Will Levis really is this season without Wan'Dale Robinson, throwing him passes downfield. And the same goes for Bryce Young, too, losing Mechie and Jamison Williams if Bama doesn't get any more guys out the portal. But, back to Will for a second, I saw him average 5 yards an attempt and, go like 9 of 30 against Mississippi State last year. And he's, coming off the board number 1 overall in some of these recent mocks. So I don't know, man. Those NFL mock drafters, they're in more NFL circles and talking to team personnel more than I do. And, they obviously like Will's size. Levis has a rocket for an arm. We all know that. But based on what he's shown at the college level so far, I don't see on film him being some transcendent player at quarterback. And if you draft a guy number 1, you're obviously expecting him to be a, all-pro type player in year 4 or 5.
Malik Willis, you obviously watched some of him. He's another guy with a rocket arm. He's now here in Nashville backing up, I say with air quotes, Ryan Tannehill, at least for this season. That is what he's going to do. What do you think of Malik Willis? I mean, most of us, the only thing we really saw from him was the game against Ole Miss where it wasn't his finest hour.
Yeah, this wasn't a good quarterback cycle. I know that Tennessee didn't necessarily have to take one, but, getting Malik where they did after the first round in the early rounds, I think it was a good value pickup. I don't see Malik starting an NFL game in the next couple of years, but talented player, really good arm. Some of the film we saw from his pro day was just as good as anybody in his class. I think I would put Malik Willis number 1 quarterback this cycle. Again, that's not saying much based on the other guys we've seen, but I think it was a good value pickup in the spot for the Titans. But as far as if something happened to Tannehill and they expect Malik to come in and win games, I'm not sure I see that happening as a rookie or second-year guy.
Speaking of winning games, man, Clemson. They are, I feel like, in a little bit of a holdover. If I can just reference back for a second, when I was in college from 04 to 08, I don't remember hearing much of anything about Clemson at all. And then they jumped up on the scene when Dabo pretty much sold up the entire Carolinas as far as recruiting. And from my understanding and people that's been in the game, when you can poach out of North and South Carolina and the Virginias, then the SEC is a whole lot better. Well, he kind of took that over for a few years, and it seems like now, whether he's in agreement with the NIL era or not, but it seems like he's starting to lose his grips on those states. And I won't say his team, but it seems as if he's kind of taking a back seat to what's actually happening around him.
Yeah, Dabo has said some pretty detrimental things publicly about the transfer portal, about how Clemson's not going to tap into that. They believe that if you recruit transfer portal players, then that's kind of spitting in the faces of coaches and guys you already have in your program trying to develop. I mean, but we've got some of the biggest coaching names in the profession going to the portal. Lincoln Riley, Nick Saban's gotten 5 guys this year, Lane Kiffin, those kind of guys. And for Dabo Swinney to just kind of have his head in the sand and not follow suit, I think some of the elites are going to wind up passing him if he refuses to get transfer portal players. I mean, if I'm Dabo right now after watching spring practice and, Uiagalelei really struggle again based on what I've been told and what I've seen, this is a team that is probably a elite quarterback away from being 11-1 ACC champion. So it's a position of need right now at Clemson. You look at their wide receiver room; they're really thin there. Haven't signed a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys in a while at that position, and just lost Justin Ross. So it'll be very interesting to see how Clemson performs this year without those 2 10-year coordinators, Tony Elliott and Brent Venables. And Clemson's a team that I'd probably still take right now to win the ACC, but that's a league that's going to be much improved this year. And, man, there's a handful of programs that could easily win it and potentially make the playoff.
So Dabo, when you're talking about Dabo and what he said about NIL and transfer portal, Mike Bray and his comments really, I mean, you talk about getting candid and to the point. Quote, "We got to stop complaining," he said at the spring meetings in Georgia. "This is the world we're in. Last time I checked, we make pretty good money, so everybody should shut up and adjust." And then he called out the NCAA, who said, they're trying to adjust guidelines, targeting these collectives and all this. And he said, they're talking a big game, but they've always talked a big game. What about Bray getting a little bit salty and direct at this?
Yeah, I mean, he can, he can say that being the head coach of Notre Dame basketball. It's not one of the blue bloods. He's not going to go into the portal and get, a 5-star guy that Duke or UNC want. It's kind of easy for him to say. It would be like Shane Beamer coming out and, just kind of blazing a trail with a bunch of quotes about NIL in the portal. If you're a top 5, top 10 coach, Saban and those kind of guys have really watched their words. Saban has come out and sort of damned the portal, but he's also used it. And Jimbo Fisher, we know the comments he's made about NIL and this all-time signing class he's got. So I don't know, man. The guys who are in the national championship picture, they're taking it easy with some of these comments, and the other guys are maybe trying to get some publicity, just telling it like it is, so to speak.
Anything more Mike Leach than Rich Strike winning the Kentucky Derby at 80-1, leading to him tweeting out that right there proves that the college football playoff needs to massively expand?
Yeah, the last thing I want to see is an 8-4 Mississippi State team in a 12-team playoff. I mean, that's not good for college football.
When it comes down to revisiting the draft, and George, I think, had 15 draft picks. You had Alabama get a first-round D lineman drafted, and I don't even remember watching them play much at all. We even had 5 at Tennessee. Is the power struggle of the NCAA pretty much going to take a backseat to the SEC? And not just in football. You're looking at basketball. You're also looking at baseball. You're looking at women's sport. You just in general, it's becoming a struggle for the NCAA, to me, to actually hold on to what the SEC can actually do.
Yeah, I mean, once Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, and down the road we might see 4 to 6 other blue blood big name programs join the league. I think at that point, Greg Sankey has to think about branching off and having his own college athletic system, which is pretty much what the SEC is right now, at least from a football entity right now. So, Sankey said this week that, just be careful if you expand the playoff. That means we're going to see 4 to 6 SEC teams making up a 12-team postseason. So, as a SEC fan myself, I think we're going to see 8 of the next 10 national champions come from that league, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon, especially in this portal NIL area where these programs can outpay a lot of the others.
So who are we waiting on then? Like who's the David? Like, is it just USC, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame?
That's kind of the big four. I mean, I think if the Big Ten were to ever lose Michigan or Ohio State, that's a powerhouse league that would fall quickly. I mean, you look at the revenue numbers right now, man, and the Big Ten is right up there with the SEC, even more so in some sports, some of these recent years. So I think Big Ten and SEC right now, if those two leagues, partnered up, it would create, quite a, 32-team mix. But based on what I've been told, those two decision makers at the top of both those leagues, they butt heads. And, we saw during COVID, both those leagues have very different viewpoints on, how things should be handled and masks and vaccines and that sort of thing. So I think it'll be interesting, man, over this next 10 years of college football to see, are we going to get sort of a Pangea of sorts where, 2 or 3 leagues break off and do their own thing, or is the NCAA going to get it together?
Good stuff, Brad. Always a pleasure, brother. Thanks so much.
Thanks, fellas.
That's Brad Crawford. That's good. Really good stuff. Yeah, this is definitely a year where we're going to find out if Clemson's going to recede a little bit, or if they're going to have to adapt. They're going to have to evolve. Coach K didn't want to bring in one and done. You saw what happened.
Yep.
Had to, and still wasn't able to win
Jay
at the
Wright.
highest. Yep, Jay Wright got out.
I mean, come on. I mean, the list is going to grow, to your point.
Definitely. It is definitely going to grow. So, Brad Crawford's comments on Malik Willis. Let's talk a little bit about that when we come back. Also, after the break, your chance to win tickets to the Nashville Sounds. It's Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Season for love means Genesis Diamonds. Jeweler like no other, locally owned, internationally connected, no middleman, and that means no middleman prices also. that means you're always going to be able to get her a bigger diamond for your budget. And they specialize in diamonds. That's not a side business. They got the largest diamond inventory, period. Half carat to the rare stuff, the 10, 15 carat diamonds in all shapes, all certified, all graded by the GIA, so you can buy with total confidence. And if you don't know much about diamonds, you don't have to worry. Non-commissioned experts at Genesis. That's why I love them so much. So easy to go in there, non-pressure environment. They just teach me all the tricks of the trade. I learned to buy like a dealer buys, and you will learn ways to really maximize your budget. And for women, Genesis is the only jeweler that carries the top bridal designers. All of them, all the big names from New York, all the big names from LA, premier names. They got them all. Thousands of handcrafted one-of-a-kind rings to choose from. This spring, celebrate your love with help from my friends at Genesis Diamonds. Voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring every year. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
You better dance. Like you remember.
Winning Wednesday. 104.5 is on the Nashville Sound. Speak caller number 5 for a chance to win 2 tickets. Louisville Bats will be the opponent next Wednesday, May the 18th. 2 tickets, caller number 5. Slay's going to throw out the first pitch. I've done it. You've done it, Moan. Slay will do it that night. So that'll be a chance to see him throw out the first pitch ahead of Sound's Bats. That's next Wednesday, the 18th. Just make sure you can be there. Caller number 5 to Jonathan Schaefer right now, 615-737-1045. I'll get you a pair on Winning Wednesday here.
That laugh, man. Where does that laugh come from?
It's kind of a dirty laugh. Like it's somebody told a very untoward joke. So, Brad, 615-737-1045, caller number 5. We'll get that couple tickets to the Sounds here. I see 4 lines already loaded, and we got 6 loaded. So there you go. What Brad Crawford said about Malik Willis.
Yeah.
He said, I'd be surprised to see him start an NFL game for the next couple of years, meaning multiple seasons. And I thought about it, and I thought, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not what fans want to hear. They have to be looking at 2023 in their own mind. But as a fan, let me ask you this question. If you knew, and you don't know, right? But this was just his opinion, obviously. If you knew, if I could guarantee you with 100% certainty, Malik Willis does not start until 24 at the earliest, and unknown results. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be great when he does play.
Right.
I'm not saying he's going to be bad when he does play, but you know he's not your starter for 2 full seasons, and then the results after that are unknown.
Yeah.
Are you still happy that you drafted him?
We brought this up a little bit as far as everybody spoke about his development. You know, like Patrick Mahomes played a certain style at, what was he
Texas
at?
Tech.
Texas Tech. He played a certain style there that you saw this on tape. You saw his skill set on film, and you felt like he was a little bit more polished. And that's why they let Alex do his thing. Heck, this first full year of starting, he wins MVP. I don't know if Malik is this already. So if it's going to take a little bit more time as far as his development goes, Malik Willis, 2 years, well, who's going to be the quarterback in those 2 years? Because this is the thing. If you throw Malik out there too soon, and you ruin them, unless this is a strategic plan into being a bad team offensively to get a top 10 pick as a sacrificial lamb for Malik Willis, then that's a bad take to have. But if you want him to be the quarterback of the future, are you willing to have Tannehill this year and next year? And I'm not asking this in the sense of, hey, no, we don't want him, but that's a reality of where we're at if Malik is 2 years away. Because who's the other guy? Go get another free agent. It's going to cost just as much as Ryan Tannehill. Or are you going to throw a Malik Willis out there that's not ready to be playing right now, Jay?
That's
if
right.
He's the guy and has the first-round talent, got the big arm, and everything else that everybody labeled him as.
So with that, we're going to take our break here. After the headlines, I want to talk about the situation that you mentioned to me during the break from the team that you played for.
Yeah.
And just the way the mentality can shift after the fact. I think it's not an example I would have thought of, but it came right to mind for you, and I think the audience needs to hear it as well. So we'll do that after the headlines. Plus, Rhett Bryan will join us in about a half hour from right now at 8:20. You won't want to miss that. It's Jay Martin and Mo, 104.5 The Zone. So I'm hoping you're out there with a tax refund. Have you thought about using it for a down payment for a new home or a new addition to your home? If your home's starting to feel small and you and your family need a larger space to grow, that could be more within your reach than you think. In fact, it is. Maybe it's buying a bigger home on a mortgage that works for you. Maybe it's a refi so that you can add a guest room. Either way, it's possible. with that refund either right around the corner or maybe actually in your pocket now, you need the right guys on your side to make sure you're taken care of, and that is my pals at Mortgage Investors Group. Southeast leading mortgage lender, MIG, here to help you get not just any loan, but the right home loan. The MIG team of mortgage experts, they care about your situation and your future, and they're committed to helping you close on time, to structure things right, to make those dreams, make sure they're fully realized. Their goal is to help you achieve yours. If that's a new home, that's a better rate. If it's a big addition to your current home, whatever it is, they're ready to make it a reality. Let Mortgage Investors Group work for you. The website to visit to get all the information, migonline.com. That's migonline.com. Or you can text MIG to 31399. 3 letters, MIG, that's for Mortgage Investors Group, to 31399. It's there that you can start that pre-qualification process, and you already know if you're not getting pre-qualified, you're not going to end up with where you want to be. So do it today. MIG to 31399. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111.
Straight up at 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. John Morant is out of the playoffs for the foreseeable future. He has a bone bruise in his right knee, considered doubtful for the Memphis Grizzlies, who will be playing the Golden State Warriors for a second straight game without Morant. Going to try to avoid elimination tonight at home in Grind City, Game 5 against the Warriors. Tip-off set for 8:30. Golden State with the 3-1 series lead. Milwaukee at Boston, what's been a really chippy physical series. 6 p.m. tonight, and that series is all knotted up at 2 games apiece. Miami just blistered the 76ers 120-85 yesterday. Heat up 3-2 in that semifinal. Suns 110, Mavs 80. Suns up 3-2 in that semifinal. Tom Brady, TB12, or is it TV12? He's going to be joining Fox Sports as its lead NFL analyst after he wraps up his playing career. The New York Post reports Brady agreed to a 10-year, $375 million contract, the most lucrative in sports broadcasting history. Go get you some there, Tom. Red Sox defeated the Braves 9-4 yesterday. Angels 12, Rays nothing, which that in of itself is not a big deal. But rookie pitcher Reed Detmers pitched a no-hitter for the Angels. It's the second no-hitter in the big leagues this season. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening in hour number 3? J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio in about 20 minutes from right now here on this very radio station. If you're on Zone TV this morning, welcome in. Hanging out YouTube, wherever you are, we appreciate you. 11-year NFL vet, Vol for Life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at J. Mart Radio, at J. Mart and Ramon.
Oh. That scares me almost right there when you just drop it in. Like, pause when you do that, Schaefer.
Phrasing.
But here we are.
All right, so Brad Crawford said, would be surprised if Malik Willis starts an NFL game for a couple of seasons, a couple of years. And so I just threw out a thought experiment and said, if you knew he wouldn't start until 24, and obviously, again, that's just an opinion based on where he is in his development and what he saw from him there. And some other people would agree with him, and other people would say, no, that's not the case. But this is just a thought experiment. If you knew he wasn't going to start until 24 at the earliest, and then after that, you don't know what the results are. I can't tell you he's going to be good. I can't tell you he's not going to be good. I just know he's not starting for 2 years. Are you still happy that he's a part of the team? Are you still happy that a draft pick was used on him? And did you cringe when you heard that? Did it stop you at all? And the reason why I wanted to bring it back up here is because, Moan, you kind of know what this is like.
Mm-hmm. I've seen this happen firsthand. So where you have a guy that's potentially on his way out. You know, Ben was talked about retirement for a few years. You know, it's like, man, I know that door is open. I thought about it. I got to take this off season. You know, he kept saying those types of things. And eventually it came to a head and it was like, okay, well, yeah, we're going to go ahead and draft a guy to kind of fill in the space for you. And that guy was Mason Rudolph. And by the way, Ben actually also came out and said it really ain't my job to take care of Mason Rudolph, to help him take my job. He said those things. There's been other quarterbacks that say the same thing that Ryan Tannehill said. And the reason we brought up the conversation about, well, what if Ryan also takes this and say, watch me. And then he kills it for a year. And I know Bam kind of said it yesterday. It was like, well, you owe us that. Well, when he's fired hard, you really going to let him go? And this is the other part. What if he does, go out and kill it? And Malik has to sit another year. And then at that point in time, the narrative on Malik changes. And let's say Ryan Tannehill kills it this year, but not so much the next year. And then the team has a bad season. And then you get a top 10 pick in a year where you can get a potentially franchise first rounder. Now, it's different. Well, let's speak about Dak. Dak had a couple of years to get himself together before he ended up becoming the guy. He had a couple of years. Well, he had some time. I ain't going to call it a couple of years. He had some time for Romo and himself. But what if that time doesn't come quick for Malik? And Malik's sitting on the back burner. Or we hear the reports of perception is reality. Well, he's not catching on the way we thought.
That's the Trey Lance experiment, right?
Exactly. And then you got to find yourself drafting an early first rounder. And that is exactly what happened in Pittsburgh right now. Mason Rudolph had a first round grade on him, according to Pittsburgh, when they scouted him and drafted him in the third round, I think also. Yeah, third round. So you get him at a point to where he's the next guy in place. Well, what happens when you sit on the back burner, Jay? You kind of simmer a little bit. Got to add a little bit more water to the pot because it's about to run out. And then the narrative. Exactly. And then the narrative changes. And then you go get a first rounder. What do we watch Pittsburgh do this year? Go get Kenny Small Hands Pickett.
Mason Rudolph, by the way, was drafted 76. Overall, Malik was 86.
86. So we're talking about very similar situations. Are you willing to throw Malik out there, according to Brad Crawford? He needs about 2 years. So what are you going to do if you decide to get rid of Tannehill this year? Have another holdover quarterback?
After this year.
Yeah, after this year. Like, that's a real question. Like, narratives can change within 2-3 years.
Well, one thing you can add to the Mason thing is this should be Mason's time, technically, but you just drafted Pickett and paid Trubisky. We did see Mason play a few games.
Some.
And I think that was enough.
And you want to know why? Because the starter in place, Ben, wasn't going to allow his guy behind him play, gain experience, become the guy, show those flashes. Like, ooh, we got something. No. And that's why I think Tannehill's potentially mindset is going to be, well, if you're going to screw me over, watch what I do to you. I do think Tannehill has the potential to bounce back this year. I do think Tannehill has the potential to at least put up yards and be better than he was last year. If this team surrounds him, figuring out the tackle position is going to be something they got to do. But if Traylon Burks is the kid, Bobby Trees get healthy, NWI is the guy, you getting Derek back, and you know how everybody feels about him, you can do your thing enough to where that hard decision on is what's his name, really the guy? Malik really the guy? Because we just saw what Tannehill just did. We can't say Tannehill sucked. He had some bad moments. He hasn't sucked.
Right? No, for sure.
So
he had a bad season, or at least an average season, under very extreme circumstances.
Yeah,
there all the injuries and all that. I mean, if he's got healthy guys around him all season, you anticipate he's somewhere between the last 2 years.
That was not good in pass protection, as the numbers bore out.
So I guess the question while we brought this up is, are you willing to push Malik back if you get a top 15 pick? As far as a quarterback coming out in the next 2 years, potentially there's going to be some good guys.
Next year we know is a loaded class.
It's a loaded class.
2 years from now we don't know. I can't project that far out.
Yeah,
but this was historically low in terms of quarterback class.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: because of the way rookie salaries are now, and because you took Malik in the third round, you can draft over him.
Yep.
If you feel like that's what you need to do.
That's the point.
So that's my
there,
question,
man.
though, for the Titans fans. They're excited he's here and all this kind of stuff, right? If you knew that what Brad Crawford was saying was true,
right?
We don't.
2 years.
He wasn't playing for 2 years, and after that, I can't tell you what his results would be. So that's not part of this experiment. Do you still want to draft him?
Well, let me ask this question.
Is that going to push Tannehill to make him better, and that makes it worth it, even if he never hits the field?
Do people like Willis because of his potential, or because he's the new shiny toy that's not Ryan Tannehill?
I think it's both, because I do think Willis was talked about a lot. He was all around, not just in the first round, but he was the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah.
The Panthers would move up, and there was stuff being talked about surrounding him. So I think there's a hype factor. And then there's he's not Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
And we can tangibly look at him and say he could be the future. And there's something to that.
But over time, though, Jay, without seeing you, or the promise of your development isn't there, that, as Shafe said, and you just reiterated, it's easier to take a first rounder after the fact, too. That's exactly what just happened in Pittsburgh. Mason was supposed to be the guy. You saw little spurts of him. And again, the first team reps aren't second team or scout team. It's not. The speed ain't there. You're basically almost set up to fail. Now, you're supposed to go out there and dice apart the defense on the scout team, but let's think about this. You walk into the huddle, 11 men. There's a coach, usually the tight ends coach or defensive coach, that has a card and tell you, do as the other team is doing. I need you to do what the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing, Malik. So you're not reading anything. You might intentionally throw a pick. And where's the development? There's no game time development when it comes down to Malik. Now, he can get with his quarterback coach on the side and do those, but it ain't real time.
Right.
As we saw in Mason Rudolph the times that he got in.
Right. No, that's true. Cousin Jimmy. What's up, Jimmy?
What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, guys. What's going on this morning?
Not much. Good morning.
Great show. Man, I'm a VFL long time. So, for me, it's like, I love the pick because I feel like he can be a solid backup for a season or two and develop. How many rookie quarterbacks got rushed into playing time and sucked?
Yeah.
And sucked it up. Peyton Manning had, VFL, man, Peyton Manning was not good his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
The kid down in Jacksonville,
mm-hmm.
He didn't certainly look like a top-round draft pick. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for how many seasons? The GOAT sat behind his guy for how many seasons? I mean, I just think we got a solid quarterback in Tannehill. He's going to do just fine for the next season, maybe season and a half. You let Malik kind of get his feet under him, learn. He's going to learn from Tannehill, whether Tannehill wants him to or not, and let him and let's just see how it plays out. I love the pick because I think he's a better number 2 than what we got right now.
Okay. Here's a question for you. Are you sure he's number 2 this year?
Logan, what's our?
I don't think he's number 2 this year. At least not to start.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Because that assumption right there was Willis is number 2. I'm not sure.
Is he the first one off the bench if Ryan goes down?
Because if we keep talking about how he was projected in terms of he's a traits guy, he's a skills guy, because you can't go based upon his college production. You can't do it.
No.
To start the season, Willis is your number 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
Again, the problem with Willis, which has nothing to do with him, is you have fans expecting him to be the guy sooner rather than later because you don't have faith in either one of your quarterbacks.
That's right. And past that point, if let's say he's 1-3, right?
Who, Ryan?
Let's say they start out 1-3. I don't think they will, but let's say they start out 1-3. The chatter's going to be super loud.
Yeah.
And if they don't make the move, then the talk becomes, well, what's wrong with Malik?
There we go.
And the truth of the matter is, you got to remember, if that scenario were to come to fruition, again, I don't think it will, but if it were to happen, the way you feel about Malik now and giving him a year and all this other kind, that's still got to be true then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't then just assume he's a scrub because he's not getting in. There's going to have to be development here.
Because this is the other part too. We talk about loving players and this position and that position. How much did this fan base really attach themselves to Treylon Burks before the trade, though? Speaking about just the love of a player in the draft currently. Because it's what have you done for me lately, or what's the new shiny toy?
Yeah, and I also think that the love for Treylon Burks surrounded him playing aside
with
AJ.
Yeah.
Not in place of AJ, but right there with him. And now it's, he can just replace AJ.
Mm-hmm.
To quote a song, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
Mm-hmm.
Swab Zombie, we'll let you send us into the break. What you got?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey,
All you Tanny haters. I wanted the statement Ryan Tannehill made. I get the story goes longer with the mentor, but the focus should be that he said the fire is burning after he came out of a deep, dark place. So whether that fire is hate, love, passion, we're going to see the best he has to offer. And I want to kind of redirect that hate, because it's very comparable between replacing Ryan Tannehill or Vrabel, because there's going to come a point to where we're making the playoffs every single year and we get eliminated. Maybe it's round 1, maybe it's the championship game. And you're going to be like, man, if we would have had this, if we would have had that, or Vrabel's just only good enough to get us this far, not win a Super Bowl. And if we do win a Super Bowl, you're going to say, oh, well, we need him to be able to win 2 Super Bowls. So you're never going to get happy. So we came from Marcus Mariota, okay, to Tannehill, who is an above-average quarterback, who this year did have a bad year. You can look at every single game, and he was not comfortable. So what made him not be comfortable, okay? Was it the new offensive coordinator that was handed an above-average offense? Was it the below-average pass-blocking offensive line, okay? So think about that, guys, and just keep hating, I guess, Kmart. That's all I got to say.
I didn't hear hatred. I haven't said anything to that way. I've just said I need to see you do it in the playoffs before I'm going to fully buy in.
That's fair.
I think that's Nashville. That's not me. That's everybody. I think one thing, you know what, I'll say it after the break. Okay. We got Rhett Bryan coming in after the break, but that point about Tannehill coming out of the deep, dark spot and having a fire burning, I got a thought on that. It's Jay Martin and Mo, 104.5 The Zone.
Two Rivers Ford can custom order any new Ford you want, like in any model, any color, and available features. They'll get you your Ford manufactured for you and delivered right to your door. But what about the price, Ramon? Is it more expensive to custom order than to buy off the lot? Not at all. In fact, Two Rivers Ford has the best price around whether you buy off the lot or you place a custom order. And that's because Two Rivers Ford still sells below MSRP on all non-specialty new Fords, like they've always done. I personally think it's pretty cool that Two Rivers Ford could have raised their prices during the pandemic and during the supply chain issues, but they chose not to because they believe selling at a fair, honest price is the way they've been doing business for almost 40 years. And let's face it, a fair price and great service keep customers coming back for decades. It's why they're here for the long haul. You can always count on Two Rivers Ford to be honest and upfront and never gouge their customers. When it comes to your trade-in, you'll always get the max trade-in guarantee at Two Rivers Ford. So custom order the exact Ford you want, get a great price, get the most for your trade-in, and feel good about shopping with a locally owned business that has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Show outside the show. Tom Brady's going to make $375 with Fox over 10 years, so 37.5. He's made $302 in his football career. So to make more than that as an analyst over that 10-year deal, being Fox's Tony Romo.
Get as much as you can.
I heard a CBS Sports update earlier this morning where they were just like, well, he can thank Booger, Tessitore, and Witten for being so bad that they started handing out money to all these guys for better analysts. I'm like, no, this is a Romo reaction.
Yeah.
All of these things are Romo reactions.
They're waiting for the next Romo because do we know that he's going to be that good? We have no idea.
No.
Has he done some kind of screen test with them? Maybe, but
is it just the name and face?
I will not tolerate Tessitore slander on this show.
Would not
on Friday nights doing Mac games, I'm with you.
I love Joe Tessitore.
I do too, but I don't think he was great as an NFL guy.
Shouldn't have been doing
his
Monday
voice
Night
didn't
Football.
sound right.
Maybe not a Monday Night Football. I'm enjoying doing college football on Saturdays too.
I agree with that. But like Steve Levy, you need ice under the NFL for that to work.
Actually,
he's a hockey analyst.
I heard Steve Levy last night and he was great.
He is great.
But he wasn't on Monday Night Football.
No, he wasn't.
Hey, and you know what I think?
Well, and that's the thing is like how many of these decisions are bad executive decisions?
You know what I think is funny? Is when I saw that with Tom Brady yesterday, I got to thinking about in his household, maybe Giselle said, by the time you started pulling your weight, big boy.
Well, yeah, now we're getting around her money.
Bring that bag back to the cave here.
I do love that people are saying stuff like, well, Tom doesn't want to be at home. It's like, dude, his wife is gone all the time. She's out of the country a lot of the time. And his kids it's not like he has 2-year-olds. He's got kids that have their own lives, their own cell phones, want to be around their friends. It's not exactly.
Yeah, but it's petty to say that.
It's very petty, but a lot of people are saying it like it's some kind of smart analysis, and it isn't.
But let me say this, though. With the money from the league, endorsements, and now this broadcasting deal, when we talk about players getting into ownership.
Bingo. You read my mind, Shafe. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And that's what Russ wants.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference. Brady's going to have the type of cash to where he can be a big-time player eventually. Russ ain't going to have that much bank.
See the rumors about Denver.
Yeah, she's making pretty good money, too, but Giselle's also making really good money with Tom. So
you see the price on Denver? It's like $5 million. I mean,
$5
billion.
With
they're
a
thinking.
B.
That's what we do up there, man.
You better get in on it.
Let's take Phil.
Mile-high pile of cash.
Rhett Bryan, Titans Radio's here. Let's take Phil's call from Jolton because I think he will lead us into a topic. I don't even know exactly where he goes, but I see Tannehill. Phil and Jolton. Phil, what's up?
Good morning, guys. How are you all?
Good morning.
Yeah, not that you haven't talked enough about Tannehill, but I've been sitting, listening to your show, love your show. And, it seems like as fans, we have very short memories.
Yeah.
And we can turn very quickly. It wasn't 2 or 3 years ago we were all praising Ryan. He became our quarterback, changed our team around along with the coaching staff. And we were supporting him when he was having top 10 numbers, and nobody else in the country wanted to recognize him as a good quarterback.
Yes.
And led us to a lot of good victories, saved us in many, last quarter runs and touchdowns. And anyway, and then you roll forward to last year, and he seems to be shouldering all of the responsibility for the year and for the end. And, we were, I think, number 1 seed in the AFC. And yes, we got 12 wins, and there were 90-some players, that it took to get there. And he deserves some of that credit. I'm not giving him all. I think it was a combination of great team effort and coaching. But, my goodness, he made a terrible throw at the end of the most important game. No doubt, I was there. But leading up to that throw, there were so many things. I just couldn't believe our clock management was so bad that we ran it down to 20 seconds and still had that much distance to go. And I looked back and surprised and a little disappointed that we kept Derek in for 20 runs and Dante, 4 or 6 runs and got as many yards as Derek did.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's unfair for Ryan to be taking all of this stuff about being a terrible quarterback and letting the team down, because I don't think it was all on his shoulders.
That's fair.
It is fair. It was more than one bad throw, but a lot of what you said is true, and I don't think anybody thinks he's a terrible quarterback. I think he gets talked about sometimes in hyperbolic terms, but people know he was a good quarterback. It's just if he's not winning in the playoffs, you start to wonder what the ceiling is. Not necessarily what the floor is, because we've seen him play very well. Real quick so I can pay off this tease, Rhett. Right before the break, somebody said, he said he's got this fire from coming out of this dark place, and you're going to see everything he has. You're going to see the most emotional football he's ever played, I think. I don't know whether or not that's good or bad, because Baker Mayfield had a big-time fire and didn't necessarily work out. The fire can be a good thing. It can also be a not-so-good thing. As long as he plays measured, we know what his talent dictates. We know what he's capable of doing. But just because he's coming out with a fire in his belly doesn't necessarily mean good things. You hope that he doesn't try to pull off too much, that he still plays within himself, because there might be a tendency for him mentally to push even further through, which is laudable unless it backfires.
Yeah, and make mistakes.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. You want him to channel that and use that fuel properly.
Yes.
And maybe have a throttle that you can kind of adjust on this thing in terms of not overdoing it. Now, to Phil's point, our caller, it is unfair to Ryan Tannehill when you lay out everything that happened in 2021. But unfortunately, we live in a world where it's what have you done for me lately? And the last thing that people remember is 3 interceptions in a playoff game. Mm-hmm. And regardless of who shot John and whose fault it was and all this other, and how many carries Derek got versus Deontay Foreman. But he kind of outlined his own thing, Phil did. It's what have you done for me lately? And that's the last memory in people's, minds right now. And it seems like football is a mile away, from getting started again. Now, it was rookie minicamp this weekend, so it's cranking up. But, yeah. But I'm with you, Jason. I am concerned a little bit about whether he puts too much fuel on the fire and pushes things to a point where he makes some mistakes. Hopefully, he'll just come out and just roll.
So the other question goes to what if Ryan does come out and kill it? And the hype around Malik has been next guy. It's all we've heard, But most people tell you he needs time. Okay, and in that time, what are you supposed to do if it's 2 years for Malik to where he's really just ready to go as a pro? Like, are we putting stock in saying all he needs is a red shirt year and he's the franchise guy next year? But if that's the case, are you willing to just go ahead and cut Ryan, the sure thing that has been good? Again, we've said it's unfair. Ryan just had some bad moments, Rhett. That's what it's been. Tannehill's had some bad moments, and people got to feel that way because you're invested week in and week out, season to season on your team in the hopes of getting to that Super Bowl. But are you willing to cut Ryan if he goes out and throw for 4,000 yards, get you a win in the playoffs, and you still got Malik behind him?
No. I mean, you keep riding that train.
Yeah.
I mean, because look, for anybody who has that, let's, to use the Office Space reference, get our jump to conclusions math here. Malik, I don't believe, is ready. I think he is going to need time. Mm-hmm. Will he be talented and play down the road? Yes, I do believe that. But I think he's got to have some NFL tutelage and some time to be able to do that. And I think what you guys set up earlier in the show, and Jonathan Schaefer said it right, it could set up a scenario where if things don't go right, a year or two from now, and you have a bad year, you could set yourself up for another top 10 pick. That's a franchise quarterback that you could have draft, just like what you saw in Pittsburgh. You talked about Mason Rudolph. This is a business, and this is kind of, sometimes these things happen. Now, you mentioned Baker Mayfield a minute ago, and I don't forget who did this. I saw this yesterday. I don't remember who put it out, but they said that Baker Mayfield should have been like a second or third round pick
that year
in terms of evaluation.
I don't know exactly what happened there.
Attraction, Jay.
I mean, I know he won the Heisman, and he played great, and he went to the college football playoff that year, lost to Georgia in an all-time great game out in Pasadena. But I never understood he was a great college player, but I never expected him to just tear up the NFL. And it was weird how his name just kept elevating. And that happens a lot with quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. It does. And I think it's attraction. What looks like it's going to work instead of the real evaluation of what it is. You know, like Baker, look at him, everything. He's risky. As much as we don't want to probably call him a running quarterback, he moves outside of the pocket and try to create. He probably had those same tendencies that we knew when he got to the NFL in college. One of our major breakdowns we had on him, roll him to his right. No, roll him to his left. Roll him to his left. Everything he did in college, he rolled to his right and make those dynamic passes.
So make him uncomfortable. Flush him to that side and make him deal the cards.
Make him do the thing he's not.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't look at the details of what was happening.
This is the whole thing about what you guys were saying earlier this morning about Rudy Gobert talking trash about Shaq. It's like it's the Hack-a-Shack deal. You know, it's like get him to the line. And, all right, he wasn't great at the line, but he worked on it, and he got to where he made people pay.
But it definitely worked for Ben Simmons. It worked against Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was the number one pick who is afraid to shoot because they know he doesn't want to go to the free throw line because he shot 30% in that playoff series, and it broke him. And since that point, he's terrified to do anything.
So what? I'm looking back at this draft of the 2018. Was this the draft of hype? And I know
was that
every
the
single one. Yes,
Darnold, Josh
Saquon,
Rosen,
Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Nelson, like all of these guys I remember distinctly having Quentin Nelson being a top 10 pick as a guard. Like
he's lived up to it.
Yeah, he has lived up to it.
And Denzel Ward has
he
got a big
and Bradley
bag
Chubb's
lately.
been injured, but when he's been healthy, he's been very good.
Yeah, but as far as like Roquan Smith, it's been solid.
Been
Mike
right,
McGlinchey, Josh Rosen, Minka was traded. Vita Vea's got a second deal. Deron Payne, Marcus Davenport. It's been solid, but it had a lot of hype and excitement around that draft. I feel like, which is where Baker, with the way he
draft
played,
also at the
Lamar
end of the first round.
Josh Allen also, Colton Miller.
Yeah, he's an offensive lineman, right?
Yeah, with the Raiders.
But who was the
UCLA? I think.
Yeah. Who was the one that got pilloried the most was Allen.
Yeah.
I remember Mina Kimes going nuts that the Bills took him. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he's the one
he turns out to be the
maybe
guy.
the best player in the league.
Yeah.
But that also goes down to, guys, we're talking about Baker, and I know I have a tendency to crap on the Browns when it comes down to their decision-making and franchise. Yeah. But we see other organizations that buy into this type of stuff, too. Like the Jaguars has been a team like that. They got to right with friggin' Trevor Lawrence because why? You can't miss on that one.
Nobody would have not taken Trevor Lawrence, number one. Even if it doesn't work out, you can't say they got it wrong.
Right.
So a 2 to 3 grade on Baker Mayfield. Round is what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Has he played like it, if we're being real?
I mean, yeah.
All things considered.
You ask people in Cleveland, they'll definitely tell you that.
I mean, he's got 2 all-world running backs. They pay for one of the best offensive lines in the league, and then they go a lot of money on defense too. You don't think that offensive line they had about 2 years? They had about a 2-year span.
No, to your other questions, and one I'm trying to address. He came in on a Hugh Jackson team that was a disaster.
That's fair.
An absolute disaster. They brought in Stefanski, and in year 1, he went to the playoffs as a starter there.
Yep. Beat Pittsburgh.
In that first-round game.
Absolutely.
Then he came back, got hurt this year, for whatever reason continued to play, and now everybody's out on him. I don't know that I feel like that second or third round. I feel like, is it number 1 overall? No, he definitely has not played like a number 1 overall pick. I would go that far. But I think
a later first-round pick.
I don't think he's like day 2 evaluation based on what I've seen. I think that the highs when he's played well have proven enough that you could win with that guy. Now, his biggest issue, his second, third evaluation to me is the mental stuff.
Okay.
It's all the other garbage that goes along with him, the Hulu commercials and the
progressive
giant like Andrew Siciliano level ears on social media. That kind of stuff.
The guy with the ears.
Yeah, that's your line, Moan. I looked you dead in the face when I said it to. Who's the guy with the ears on NFL Network? That's Andrew Siciliano. He's a pro.
My bad. My bad.
Dude with the ears on DirecTV.
They're hard. They're hard to ignore.
They are satellite dishes.
They are
like old school satellite dishes where you have to have somebody install it on your roof.
Oh yeah,
and it might. And
they were like mesh, like your grandmother's fence. Yeah, giant.
There's like a hammock and a satellite dish next to it.
Yeah, we call those C-band ears.
See, I just dropped the bomb and y'all just ran away with it, huh? I heard more slander this morning since AJ not doing the camp.
She had AIDS, not hepatitis.
Jenny from
By the way, traitor. You had somebody mention about the Browns moving to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Robert Irsay facilitated all of that by moving the Mayflower trucks in the middle of the night.
That's
and
right.
The Baltimore Colts.
Modell always gets talked
It's
about, but if you
Irsay?
actually read the
Robert
story,
Irsay moved the Baltimore Colts in the middle of the night through the Mayflower trucks in January of 83 or 84 to become the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah.
I did see that.
So you have to have them. That's a cause and effect thing there.
The guy earlier said took our 2 Super Bowls. Was that same Cleveland team that turned into Baltimore was their team? The heartbeat of it was the Cleveland Browns, or no? I'm asking. I don't remember.
What did you say?
The heartbeat of that
Raven Super Bowl team
was a Cleveland team.
Yeah, it was a fair amount of it.
It really was a Cleveland team.
I'd have to go back and compare the rosters, but yeah.
No, they drafted Ray in '96 as a Raven. He wasn't drafted as a Brown. But yeah, there were some pieces and parts there for sure.
That's salty for them because they have never recovered.
Oh my!
And hey, go back and find that. I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 or what it was, but the last year they were in Cleveland. Because, I mean, Belichick's on that. Scott Pioli's on that. Nick Saban's on that coaching staff. I mean, they had some heavy hitters in there early in their career.
I mean, they left 96. Ravens win the Super Bowl in 2000. So there were some core players that were there.
At least management was there.
I'd have to.
We'll have to look it up.
Ozzie Newsome was the wizard there
Ozzie
in
Newsome.
the drafting room, though.
He was the guy.
And he's still helping Eric DaCosta.
That's what I heard. His footprint's still on it.
But Ozzie is literally the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, my God.
Greg, hang on. We'll get to your call on the other side of this break with Rhett. I know you want to talk about Tannehill as well. We're at the end of this segment. Almost 8:40.
That was quick.
We'll be back after the weather at 8:45 here on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, foundation issues. I say that and your eyes roll into your head because you know it's probably an issue, and it may not be something going on with your home, but you don't even know what it would look like, right? And you're noticing cracks in your bricks or windows sticking, doors sticking. Now it's hot, they're sticking, but they were sticking when it was cold too. So all that talk of, well, it's just because it's cold weather. Or you hear that stuff about your house settling and all this stuff. House settling can also be a possible foundation issue. When it comes to foundation repair, nobody does it better than my friends at United Structural Systems. They've been right here in Middle Tennessee for over a quarter of a century. They're locally owned. They got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They're problem solvers. That's really what they are. And they're not problem creators. I mean, if they come out and they don't notice something that needs to be fixed, they're not going to come up with a reason to fix it just to get your money. They'd rather have your business later by showing you integrity up front. And that's all I need to tell you. They come out, they give you a free estimate. Sometimes that's zero, like I just said. Before you have to make a decision, then you don't pay a dime until they're done. Over 23,000 satisfied customers can tell you it's a great phone call to place. You can absolutely trust them, and that means more than the service. And the service is off the charts as well. USS 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275 or online at USSTN.com. United Structural Systems.
Robots in disguise.
Oh, I'm glad we've got that now. Not really an athlete, not really a robot.
Decepticons.
Greg in Nashville wants to talk about Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill.
Greg in Nashville. Greg, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, man.
Hey.
Hey, so I think a lot of the buzz around Malik is really just excitement that the Titans are willing to look towards the future. Personally, I think Tannehill has done a decent job for us at quarterback. I think he mainly won the job from Marcus, which I love Marcus. But I think he won that job because he could take better advantage of play action. And with Derek having his first injury and us not knowing how he's going to return, I do worry that, Tannehill's game is going to continue to struggle if the play action, if defenses aren't worried about the play action game as much. When he's under center and playing out a shotgun, I don't think the production is really there. And as far as Malik coming in and being ready, I'm not sure either. But I think just the Titans being willing to look forward to the future and trying to get us to the chip. Because, Tannehill played really poorly in his playoff games with us. The games we did win, I think, was largely due to Derrick Henry again. And if he's not a factor, then Tannehill just really struggles. So no hate against Tannehill, but I am excited about the future, whether that's Malik or not. And let's go Titans.
So no hate against Tannehill. Kind of think that was hate-ish. There it is.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
When he plays that sounder, that stinger.
It kind of does. It does seem like that.
Regis Philbin. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Is that your final answer?
That's Coach 30 when it gets dark.
I like the Transformer sound.
Yeah, I like it too. That's from the TV
phenomenal.
show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, don't go to the Michael Bay
No.
films.
No. When we had this idea the other day, we're like, no. This is 80s cartoons land, not Michael Bay. I would not do you that way.
Thank you for not doing me at all. G.I. Joe or Transformers?
Phrasing.
G.I. Joe or Transformers? That's a poll question right there.
All right. We'll do that sometime this summer.
Wow.
I'll put it on the list.
Now, I'm on the older end of that. I still enjoyed those things, but I didn't watch them as much. But I think you have to throw a third one in there if you're going.
Howdy Doody and.
Oh, come on, man. Damn. Wow. Howdy Doody. I started in radio when Marconi, threw it out. Come on, man.
RCA was a brand.
Scooby-Doo was a big thing when I was a kid.
It was for me.
Still
too.
is.
No, so what would be the third thing that you would throw in there?
I would think the third thing, and it depends on, where, but He-Man.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Those were afternoon appointments.
He-Man and Transformers were more me. G.I. Joe I've come to appreciate as I got older, but I've gravitated to the robots more, so I got those and the He-Man toys growing up.
Sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Transformers just because I like cars and things.
Yeah, me too. And Moan loved his
Autobots.
Moan loved his SpongeBob.
Plus, I wanted a voice like Optimus Prime too. It's like, ooh, that would be good. Like
if James Earl Jones was a robot,
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There's more.
If Scott Graham was a robot, he'd be kind of an Optimus
still be
Prime.
Scott. No,
You know what? The only person
Scott
aside
Graham
from Ryan
wasn't a
Tannehill
robot.
that gets that kind of stray is Scott Graham.
Bumblebee. Hello,
when you said
Bumblebee.
if
I'm
Scott
Scott Graham.
When you said if Scott Graham was a robot, I'm not so sure.
You're saying these are the same things.
Yeah. This is a Spider-Man meme. We are now pointing at
Yes.
one another.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh man. But yeah, I really enjoyed and I enjoyed some G.I. Joe, but He-Man was really cool.
Skeletor was awesome.
And the Masters of the Universe.
I had all the toys. Had Castle Grayskull. Had the whole nine.
I love Captain
And
Planet.
Skeletor.
If you want to go down a fun YouTube rabbit hole, just look up Skeletor clips.
I love Skeletor. Because you can take such stuff he said out of context.
Basically, everything I do on this show is basically Skeletor clips taken out of context on YouTube. It's about the same thing.
I'm looking forward to rookie mini camps
Yeah.
coming up this weekend, and that means that things are getting back towards relevant football topics.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
I can't front. I'm enjoying this time of the year though, right? Before it gets super serious. I think my second time around as far as doing this, I'm appreciating this time of the year before it's get very like critical and just, hey, let's break this down, that down type
No,
thing.
it is
You
good to
feel
take
me?
a breather. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, happy birthday to Miles. Double digits today.
Double digits.
That's a big one.
I remember turning 10.
10 trips around the sun, man. That's good stuff.
Around. He is all about the celebration of it, right? I'm like, golly, kid. My wife texted me and said everybody in the house had to tell him happy birthday. You know, the dog, my wife.
Happy birthday.
My sister-in-law also is staying with us from college. And RJ, the old cool kid.
Yes.
She said it was just sitting at the table. And Miles just stared at RJ. Just stared at him. It's like, RJ, you're not going to say happy birthday?
Yeah, it's like, I'm waiting for it.
And RJ being
Go
the
ahead.
older brother's like, dude, happy birthday, man. Get out of here.
Let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Happy birthday, all right? I don't really mean it, but okay.
I'm like, that's
Not
perfect.
really an athlete.
Yeah. That's what they are now. It really is. I like that
man.
dynamic, though, right?
When's Ryan Tannehill's birthday? I can feel that coming. Nashville's going to stare at him from across the table. Happy birthday.
Right, slander. It's been 0 days.
Yeah.
Been 0 minutes.
This is the warehouse hazard, the safety awareness. Yeah, it's been 0 days since there's been an accident.
Who are we talking about again? I believe that person's name is Ryan Tannehill. Fourth hour's next. Jay Martin and Mo 104.5 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything. Like when a relief valve on your water heater fails, you know what it's going to do, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement. ServPro is prepared for that. Or when an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage, ServPro is prepared for it. Or that musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. ServPro is prepared for that too. You need a lot more than help sometimes cleaning up, and that's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services, ranging from drywall patching and document drying all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. If you're in need of cleanup from fire, water, or any unpleasant event, ServPro is always ready to help. Call ServPro and the official downtown Nashville operators at 800 ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never even happened. The number is 800 SERVPRO. That's ServPro, cleaning, restoration, construction. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
9:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. John Morant, a bone bruise in his right knee. Ouch. Considered doubtful for the remainder of the NBA playoffs, which for the Memphis Grizzlies, that final game could be tonight. It'll be the second straight game the Grizz without Ja, trying to avoid elimination against the Golden State Warriors. Game 5 in Grind City. Tip-off set for 8:30. Also tonight, it has been a scrappy series. Milwaukee at Boston. 6 p.m. will be the tip for that. Yesterday, 2 blowouts. Miami defeated Philadelphia 120-85. Heat are up 3-2 in that semifinal. Suns 110, Mavs 80. Suns are up 3-2 in that one. Tom Brady, TB12, will join Fox Sports as its lead NFL analyst after he wraps up his playing career. The New York Post reports Brady agreed to a 10-year, $375 million contract. The most lucrative in sports broadcasting history. Means he would actually make more money in the booth than he has on the field, and he's been on the field for over 20 years. Red Sox defeated the Braves 9-4 yesterday. Angels 12, Rays nothing. That's because rookie pitcher Reed Detmers pitched a no-hitter for the Angels, the second no-hitter in the big leagues this season. Growing foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On here over the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
Danny Kelly over at The Ringer wrote about quarterbacks. He wrote something that is like relationships. It's kind of clever. He said Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, Atlanta Falcons, and Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder, the guy they told you not to worry about. Both the Titans and Falcons drafted quarterbacks in the 3rd round despite having starters. Falcons replaced Matt Ryan with Marcus Mariota this spring, then picked Desmond Ridder, who told teams before the draft he has a plan to beat out a veteran quarterback for a starting job and start as a rookie. He writes, that's bold and kind of hot. It's also bad news for Mariota, who's famously a nice guy. Then there's the Titans. Tennessee could have lowered Tannehill's $38.6 million cap hit this season, the largest in the NFL, by extending the quarterback and committing to him for a few more years. But perhaps those interceptions on his first and last throws of the AFC divisional round are stuck in Titans' mind because instead of doing that, they drafted Malik Willis, a younger, faster man with a bigger arm. Tannehill has said he's not interested in mentoring Willis, and like Ridder, Willis is just a 3rd-round pick. Surely there's nothing to worry about. Tannehill. Yes. Tannehill.
Always say.
The guy you actually don't have to worry about, Washington Commanders and Carson Wentz and Sam Howell. Some of these are pretty funny.
Yeah. I thought the Kansas City one was pretty good, too, talking about everybody's dream relationship.
Hot Girl Summer is pretty good, too. Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are with Jalen Hurts right now, but everyone knows they're not exclusive. Philly looks hot right now. Traded for A.J. Brown, drafted Jordan Davis in the 1st round, have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft. The Eagles are rounding into form, and this, you want to talk about just shade. And they'll be looking to draw in their next franchise quarterback soon.
I'm disrespectful.
Why? Why are they willing to do that, Jay? Because he's a 2nd-round draft pick.
Literally anyone will do. Houston Texans and Davis Mills. The Texans are rolling with Mills as their 3rd-round quarterback turned starter on a roster that's basically an expansion team. Sure, why not?
Hey, that's about
this
right.
is getting pathetic. Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. It's tough seeing a team this thirsty for a quarterback go through such a drought. At this point, the Panthers are basically sending you up texts in the middle of the day.
No, baby.
You up text in the middle of the day? How did I miss that one?
That's the last one.
Actually, I've received those at 4 in the afternoon because of this job.
You got what?
That's what
you up because I could be napping anytime between 1 and 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Sometimes I hit up Shave like, hey, Shave. And I don't hear from her for hours. I was like, I guess we're not friends today. That's really not on him, though. That's on me for just hitting him up like that.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
I'm excited for this one this week again.
The 80-year-old virgin, Chicago Bears and Justin Fields.
They're dogging Justin. After
funny,
reading that,
no, they are. They didn't get him anything.
They
got him
dogging that
nothing.
guy.
They're giving him nothing.
They're not dogging Fields. They're dogging the organization.
Yes. No, they're dogging Fields. They didn't get him any weapons.
Oh, the Bears are dogging
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
what
I
I'm
thought you were
saying.
talking about
What's
the
his
author.
number one
I'm sorry.
wideout? Who was his number one wideout? Look that up. I'm going to read this.
wish
The
I
Bears
could
have
tell
never developed a quarterback. I know. They've been around forever, but it just never happened for them. They don't know how to support a guy. They aren't experienced, and they always make the wrong move. Just look at what they're doing with Justin Fields. Chicago has one of the worst receiver cores and one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, yet instead of addressing those positions, the Bears went out and spent their first 2 picks on DBs. While the Jets and Dolphins are trying to help their quarterbacks in their own, maybe misguided ways, the Bears are just collecting action figures and letting Fields do all the laundry, all the while blaming quarterbacks for being difficult to develop.
It was that part that got me.
The doing laundry parts,
No.
the action figures.
Collecting action figures. That's what they're doing to him. It's just like put it up on the mantle and let it stay there. Maybe to collect some money.
Not really an athlete.
Oh my gosh. Like I feel bad. I don't feel bad for Justin Fields, but just like the situation he's been put
into an awful,
it's terrible
awful situation. The partner who was a terrible gift giver, Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. The Jags love and appreciate Trevor, but they aren't good at showing that. They knew we wanted a pass catcher, but they weren't exactly the best at shopping for one. We got you, Christian Kirk. The Jags proudly proclaim for the low price of $18 million a year.
Yeah.
Wow, Lawrence Gulp. Could we have had A.J. Brown for that much? Lawrence is still young and polite, though, so he unwrapped his next gift, former Giants tight end Evan Ingram, with a smile while silently wondering how Jacksonville spent $9 million a year for a tight end who can't catch.
Yep.
So thoughtful, Trevor says. Did you happen to get a receipt? That is the Jags. The partner who is a terrible gift giver that is the Jags. Colin is in Knoxville. What you got, Colin?
What's up, guys? All right. I don't know if this has been said, so forgive me if it has, but just from a Titans fan, the way I'm looking at it is we got this new stadium coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Like 3 years, let's say. I think the whole organization, whether they want to admit it or not, or even if they know it's happening or not, subconsciously we're all sort of planning for 3 years ahead of now. It's not like we're giving up next year, but it's like everything we've done since that stadium has been announced, it's like that's what we're planning for. That's what we're gearing for. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think that's wrong. I think
ain't
we
far
have
off.
sort of talked about how this draft, in terms of maybe Haskins, right? Willis, Burks, you are planning for a post Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse future. Obviously, the fourth horseman never was in Julio. He was like Paul Romo with the Four Horsemen.
We don't use the term windows on this show other than Window Nation, who we love very much.
Hey, man.
Shout out to our people.
But this is a draft for the next window.
Yeah. This is the next iteration of the Titans.
Yeah.
Post AJ, and by the way, post Henry and post Tannehill.
Yeah. So
Post Taylor.
Post Taylor. I don't
Oh,
think
Lawan, yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing last names, and you threw that one in. I'm
My
like,
bad.
Ike,
the one that
Terry, Red Rooster.
the one that could make it into this stadium, it should or could be Ryan, because how young he is and where quarterbacks play now. What Russ said he's gonna play for another 10.
I mean, Tannehill's what, 33?
I mean,
34. But yes, in terms of quarterbacks, still
could.
younger.
Yeah.
You could still be playing another potentially 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
AJ's the one that would have been, because AJ's 24. Assuming he was healthy, he's the one that had the
27,
best
28.
shot to have still been here.
Yeah, that's 27, 28 for him. 29 maybe before 30.
Yeah.
Man, it depends on how long he plays. I asked the question, can he come back?
Your best case scenario is you have a Malik Willis banner hanging on one of the walls of that brand new stadium in 2026.
Yeah, that's right.
That's your best
exactly
case
right.
scenario.
That's the best case scenario.
And if you have him and Haskins both, then something
Yeah.
really has gone right.
Yeah, and Big Jeff.
Or Traylon.
Or Traylon.
Traylon.
Right.
Traylin's even more
Yeah, I
important,
mean, your
actually.
best case scenario is you, and we're just using this because this is who you played with. You want this to be your Ben, AB, and Le'Veon.
Yep.
That's who you want this to be.
This
and
is
maybe it can.
And this is what you're saying as far as stability goes. These guys that you're mentioning this year, 3 years from now, should be your baseline and culture setting.
Agreed.
Yeah. To get back to AJ's point of that's where he was before being traded away.
But yeah, the goal is to have Malik on a banner and Traylon Burks on a banner.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that.
Because that means you have a quarterback and a wide receiver that are face-ish of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you open a new that's very well said.
Yep, I agree with that, Shay.
Mike Sando of The Athletic is going to join us on the other side. He's going to tell us what he's hearing in terms of obviously the Athletic NFL staff we talked about a couple of days ago put out that piece about what everybody's saying post-draft about where teams are and how they did and all this. We can ask him about Malik. We can ask him about AJ. He was very outspoken as somebody up in Seattle about Russell Wilson and what Russell actually has at this point in his career. And he's been around. Like Sando's been saying a lot as of late that's been really interesting. So I think you're going to enjoy that conversation. It's coming up in 5 right after the weather here on 104.5 The Zone.
Life happens fast. Sometimes you can plan on when those life-changing moments are going to happen, but most of the time, you just don't know. Open Door can meet you wherever and whenever you need them. Did you just land that dream job that is moving you across the country? Did you just have that new baby? Or are you upsizing or downsizing? When life's doors open, Open Door will handle the house. Open Door can help you avoid having to worry about finding transitional housing or paying a double mortgage. You can do what hundreds of thousands of people have already done. Request an offer through Open Door. Go to opendoor.com and enter your address. Tell them a little bit about your house and you'll get an offer in minutes. Open Door looks at your house, the surrounding market, and gives you a real competitive offer. You don't have to make repairs, do the prep work, or schedule showings. You can choose the closing date and move on your schedule. Get a free offer on your home at opendoor.com/WGFX. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. Life is full of opportunities. Selling your house shouldn't keep you from them. Sell to Open Door. opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 02061130 in California. Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
Welcome back. It's Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Well into the fourth hour of the program. Hope you're well wherever you happen to be. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin, at Jay Martin Ramon on Twitter. The Athletic brings us a lot of great content on a day-to-day basis. One of our favorites. Haven't chatted with them in a couple months. It's been a busy season. Now we're actually being able to catch up with some of our pals. Had Jeremy Fowler on. We've had a couple people recently. Mike Sando is another one of The Athletic. Mike, what's going on this morning?
Not too much. It's a little transition away from the draft into a little bit of what is an off season. Of course, we'll have a big schedule release tomorrow, but it is getting close to actual off season. So here we are.
Yeah. So the schedule release is sponsored, Mike. Like the NFL they're on a different level. They're playing like 12D chess here. Like the schedule, they're just announcing the games, and Verizon is a title sponsor for this tomorrow. This is nuts. Like we're in the middle of the NBA playoffs. The NFL can't let it go.
I know it's a little much. I've always loved the schedule release, but when if they're going to trumpet it too much, then I don't know. They're stringing it along now. Some of the games are coming out. I just want the whole thing. Let's get the whole thing. Let's look at it. That's good for me. I don't need and this one game is, here's 3 games. No, let's not trickle it. Let's just see what we got,
Yeah. So the latest piece that you put together, post-draft, execs unfiltered on all 32 classes. Before we ask what you know about the situation here in Nashville and some of the other things that you've learned, what was your take in the moment and where you are now on the Titans' decision to allow A.J. Brown to go elsewhere, to make that move, and to potentially try to draft his replacement in Treylon Burks?
I totally get it because I think teams are – not everybody's comfortable with where that money's gone at that position. So and I'm not 100% comfortable with it either, especially when you have a highly paid quarterback. You've made other choices on your team. But it is really hard to lose one of your best players who's still really young. So, I think there's some risk in it. I also acknowledge that, I think the Titans probably know the situation better than anyone. They probably know A.J. Brown better than anyone. And as hard as it is, they probably have the most information. And so that could include things like, hey, what's his outlook physically? Those types of things, right? I mean, can we use the money in a different way? And I think one of the great comments that I had in my piece was, you ought to be able to find a replacement for A.J. Brown with $25 million and a first-round pick and everything else they were able to get. It's still hard. I think it's just still hard to lose a good player.
One thing that was very telling, you also put in there, it would be harder if AJ was a true game changer, with incredible speed.
Yeah.
So what's the evaluation of a guy that doesn't have Tariq level, speed and I guess game changing ability?
Well, in theory, that he should be easier to replace than ever because the college game's producing a ton of good receivers.
Okay.
More than ever, right? So I do think it's easier to find a good receiver, but there's still tons of misses. There's tons of misses in the draft, and there'll be misses in this draft. So you're still taking there's still a decent chance that they won't find somebody nearly as good. I think the player they got is universally acknowledged, and that's Burks as a comp. They did the best possible job they could do to replace them with a high odds player. I do a podcast every week with Randy Mueller, who's been a 3-time GM, and I think does a really good job with evaluations. I think he had Brooks as his either his 3rd or 4th receiver in the draft, and really liked him. So I think they protected themselves the best they could do, but there's still risk with it, And so I kind of like the idea, at least in theory, of let's not go to $25 million a year unless you really are getting Randy Moss. You know what I mean? Somebody who's just absolutely, and that's no disrespect to A.J. Brown, who is a top receiver, but I think there's different levels of top receivers. And unless it is that, just absolutely a game changer. You're probably better off in theory doing what they did. I just think you got to really hit on the next guy, because I do think he brought a toughness to your team, and that's what this team is built on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this team is built on a toughness and an ethic to them. So, they still have that with Derrick Henry and their head coach and other players on their team, but it won't be quite the same at the wide receiver position.
And that's where I was going next. The guy that you speak to a bunch of executives, front office people, and scouts, and just the business in general. In the last line of your piece, you had Tennessee was in a difficult position because everything is built off the run game there. I think historically it's been that way here for a while. We talked about this last week also. Right. And because of that, what was the continued conversation behind that? Was it the fact that Tennessee's behind everybody, or nobody does it as good as Tennessee when it comes to the run game? What was the rest of that conversation?
Yeah, no, I don't think people feel – I mean, look, in general, it's the passing league, and that's the direction you want to go. But unless you have Derrick Henry and can play the way they play, I mean, they're the number one seed. So I think they have I think there's admiration for how Tennessee plays across the board, and I think there's admiration for the fact that, hey, they got more out of Tannehill than anyone thought they would. If you're going to pay a running back, it is, that's another one. You generally shouldn't do it, but this is a different running back, and there's no one like him in the league. So I think the interesting component of it is, where is Derrick Henry at in that? How long is he going to be able to keep doing that? Was last year any kind of a sign? You have a big player with a lower body injury. Is he going to maybe they should have traded Derrick Henry, right, and paid A.J. Brown? Wouldn't that have been something? That would have really changed the dynamic of their team. And at a certain point, that's going to have to happen, right? I mean, at a certain point, he's not going to be able to keep doing what he's been able to do at an unbelievable level, which is define the offense for a team in a way that's counter to the way the league's going, but still really good for Tennessee. You know what I mean? They're doing what really almost no one else could do, and they probably should based on their personnel, but as that personnel evolves, they'll probably have to become a little bit of a different team too.
Crazy question based off that, because I know an exec had mentioned that Derrick Henry scenario out there. What's the market for Derrick Henry right now? That becomes, because no running backs are we've seen the running back money, and the running back money is not the same now. If it was, then
Even
Deebo Samuel would have been all right being paid partially running back, partially wide receiver, and it has shifted dramatically.
I don't think he's worth more to another team than he is to Tennessee, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now I did sort of think of Seattle because Pete Carroll once gives him a physical run game and has really struggled to keep their top backs healthy, right? And they really like Chris Carson. They like Rashad Penny when he's been healthy, but both those guys, I mean, Carson has a career threatening injury, and then Penny's been great when he's played, but he's little. But I thought that could be somebody, but they're in a little bit of a different stage with their team too, right? I mean, they didn't even go the 2 years build. I don't know if you want to. Henry's not old, but he's getting older for a back, right? So
Right.
I think that's in theory. Know what you'd get at his age with his salary, especially if you're Tennessee. If you lose him, I mean, aren't you kind of all in with him for the next year or two? Probably.
Mm-hmm. As far as, speaking about the league in general, the AFC specifically, man, it's going to be a gauntlet, and you better come out the blocks hot this year, because the one bye we saw was very important for teams this year. But a team that really just dove in this offseason, the Buffalo Bills. You go get Vaughn 6 for 120, that's one thing. And then you go, you get some running backs as far as the draft goes, and you go get a cornerback. And are they the what do I want to say, the Rams of the East?
A little bit they are. I think when you have a team like Kansas City ahead of you, and even when you really should have beat them, you had 13 seconds last year, you didn't beat them. So they're really all in and putting the accelerator down and trying to get over the top while they're in this window of really having one of the 2 or 3 best rosters in the league and a top young quarterback. So I get it. I think the Von Miller contract's crazy. I mean, they guaranteed 3 years, right? I mean, to get him, I don't think Von Miller was necessarily going to come to Buffalo when he had the choice of the Rams, right? He's in a good situation, and there's probably some other teams. They had to really go in on that contract, and I think it's probably good for them this year, but I don't know about for the long term. I'd be surprised if he was still productive for that many years, but that's sometimes what you do. Like you said, they're all in. They're trying to make a push. They really should have been in the Super Bowl last year. Probably were the best team and really blew it in a spectacular way in the final 13 seconds of a game, which is hard to do.
So I know, and I listened to you with Robert Mays and company maybe a month before the draft, after the Russell Wilson stuff was happening, when free agency was just nuts. And you were very passionate in your take on Russ. What do you think of where Russ is in his career right now, the move that Denver made? And you talked about Seattle being kind of in a transitory phase, and that certainly appears to be the case. But what is your read on that whole situation? We already know the AFC is loaded.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for Denver and for the AFC writ large?
Well, it really raises expectations for Denver, and it gives them a chance. I mean, I think that it puts them in the mix. They do have a chance to be a playoff team in advance and be relevant again. So I totally get why they did it. I'm just a little worried for their sake from what I've seen from Russell Wilson the last year and a half or so. And I think, we saw it in this draft. There's not a lot of people lining up to draft short quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see that. But Russell Wilson had a magical superpower, which was the ability to break all the rules, turn your back to the pass rush, spin away, and run, and maybe gain 15 yards or make an incredible throw. I have felt like, for whatever reason, the last year and a half, he has been less willing or less able or less dynamic in that component of his game. Some of it, I think, has almost fashioned himself as hey, I'm Peyton Manning, I'm Tom Brady, I'm pocket passer, and he can do that, but he's not so great at that in the absence of the running component, to me, to elevate them and make them, beat Kansas City, or even we'll see what happens with the Raiders in that division. When you look and stack the teams in that division, there's really 4 teams that should be in the top 3 in that division, but someone's finishing last. And the more I look at the Raiders, I mean, just ask yourself this: would you rather have Josh McDaniels coaching Derek Carr, who, by the way, has been good for the last year and a half? I know he takes a bad rap, but he's been good the last year and a half. Throwing to Darren Waller, throwing to Devontae Adams, throwing to their nice slot receiver there, Hunter Renfrow, or stack that against Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson, where Russell's been at the last year and a half, which is good, but it hasn't been as great. Hackett's first-time coach. They have some nice weapons, but do they have Waller, Devontae Adams, Renfrow combination? They're in the gauntlet there. So I'm not convinced that Denver's going to suddenly be in an AFC Championship game.
On the other side of it, it's the AFC South. Which team has actually taken that step to, try to get over the edge? The coach signed a older quarterback who Irsay can't stop speaking enough about. You got Jacksonville going defense in the first round, and then you also you got Houston, with giving Lovey another shot. Like, which one of those teams that the Titans got to see that you're like, okay, they might take a step?
Well, the Colts are already 8-0 because they've run over Carson Wentz 8 times. 8 times. It's a ball. I can't see anything like it. I mean, look, I wasn't a huge Carson Wentz fan either, but Irsay's been off the rails on this, like unnecessary. Like, to me, it's a little bit much, but I do believe that I do love the move for Matt Ryan for them. I think they kind of lucked into it with the whole way that I think Atlanta kind of blew it, right? I mean, by going for Deshaun Watson, not getting him, and then they sort of had to do Matt Ryan a favor as a franchise icon. I do think over a 1 or 2 year basis that he gives them something they've been lacking, which is just a real professional quarterback. I think that Wentz does have shortcomings. And so if you kind of are now putting, like, not Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan can't do it all, but I think they have a special back too, right? Mm-hmm. If you're talking about special backs in the league, you're talking Derrick Henry and their guy. Mm-hmm. There's not that many others that really no one wants to see on Sunday, right? I mean, they're really that other backs can't. So I think with Rhett Bryan having, and I do think they're right. They weren't that tough last year, kind of blew it in the end, but the Indy's probably the team. I think they're definitely the team in that division that will give Tennessee the best run for their money. Of course, we'll always short sell Tennessee, and in the end, somehow they'll probably be there, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of those two teams you anticipate they probably, if the NFL schedules them late, that's probably for the division, and maybe that's a primetime game. Before we let you go, Mike, I know you worked at ESPN for 12 years before you went to the Athletic, and you're up where you were. You also were very, very close with John Clayton, who passed away at 67 back on March the 18th. Just tell us what kind of guy John Clayton was and just some of your experiences being around him. I mean, we all grew up watching him, listening to him, and it kind of was a shocker, but I know you knew him on a completely different level.
Yeah, I actually replaced John at the Tacoma News Tribune, covering the Seahawks back in 1998. So it's been a while. And then, John was really kind of a mentor to me in a lot of ways because he was really, just really over the top in how much work he put into him. And me coming in, I had been a beat reporter before. It wasn't like I was brand new, but I hadn't covered the NFL, and John really showed me how you've got to work at it. And John came to my wedding, and this is 2000, year 2000, and we didn't even have a videographer. I was much out of limits, to put it that way. And so I had my best man's son in high school running around with a video camera and just asking people sort of irreverently, for marriage advice. And he goes up to John Clayton. He knew who John was, a reporter, and he asked him he asked John Clayton, of all people, what's the key for keeping the romance alive and you think a lot of things with John. You're not thinking, romantic with John. And but John was his heart. John steps into the frame of the picture like he's doing a live report from the practice field, And he said he talked about the demands of the job, and you're going to be working till 10 o'clock at night and all this and that. But he said after 10 p.m. that's her time. And he was dead serious. That was John. So my wife and I still laugh to this day when I'm working too late. I say, hey, the Clayton rule, it's not 10 o'clock. And that was just John. I mean, he really was one of a kind. I've never known anyone to put that much into his work and really set an example for me. And listen, there's been a couple of times when I almost called him just out of habit because we talked so often. And he's just always been there. So this was the first draft without him, and it was a little sad.
Yeah. Well, Mike, it feels like he's still been there, right? Like, I mean, you couldn't call him, but he's a part of you. It's important to have those relationships. It really is.
It is. The saddest part about this was, kind of because of the pandemic, we just haven't seen people. And even though I was in touch with John and we talked regularly, it really, last time we were together, we used to be together a lot, either on the road or I'd see him out at a practice on a training camp, or we both live near the Seahawks, so if there's a mini camp, we might drop in over there. And that was really the part that I thought, wow, we just hadn't been together, and that's really just too bad.
Yeah. Well, sorry for your loss. I know you guys were close, but we really appreciate the time, Mike. Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you. We'll talk again.
Indeed. That's Mike Sando.
That's a good word.
Replaced him in Tacoma and knew him his whole career. And just still has an impact on his life.
Yeah, and Mike still lives up there in the Seattle, Tacoma area, which is why we can only always get him under the 9 o'clock hour. But a personal relationship with John Clayton that goes way back. And John Clayton, one of those names. The way we revere Mike Keith is how people around the league revere John Clayton. I think it's
never heard
similar.
a bad thing said about him. When I was at Super Bowl, you'd see him, people just appreciate the way he did what he did.
He was one of those guys, to me, at least seeing him on TV, was the guy before everybody else decided to make it a superstar thing.
Yeah, he was of the first wave of sports writers who then got onto TV, and just John Clayton being John Clayton
Turned him into a TV star, a radio
Look,
star.
4 Downs was can't miss on SportsCenter on Sunday nights when it was him and Sean Salisbury.
Yeah, I always made
on
the joke he
split
made Sean
screens.
Salisbury bearable.
I loved
so great.
those segments.
Yeah.
You ain't wrong.
Yeah.
I loved those
The
segments.
Long commercial,
Yeah.
which everybody
with the
remembers.
long hair with the ponytail. Mom!
I met John once at training camp, Titans
met him
training
there,
camp,
too.
years and years and years ago, and the ponytail was real, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Where he had the detachable ponytail in the commercial. No, he actually had a little ponytail. It was funny, and also Ramon. You know, he's also started his career in Pittsburgh, and he's actually from that area and lived
why
on the
I've
West
seen him
Coast for a
at.
long time. So
Yeah, he worked for the Post-Gazette, did he not? Isn't that right?
He
was a Post-Gazette.
either the Press or the Post Gazette, because the Press. Is
No, yeah,
closed
Press.
up.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I think it was the
and
Pittsburgh
he
Press.
worked for the Pittsburgh Press and the News Tribune in Tacoma.
Yeah,
Legends never die, man.
but a long time figure in the NFL. And when John passed away, and I thought it was important for us to ask Mike about John.
For sure.
It really one of the pillars of the community in the NFL. And I think a lot of people look at Mike in a similar way they look at John. Mike's not as visible as John was because of ESPN, excuse me. But I'm glad we were able to
I
have
thought
that
that was
conversation.
Mike Keep
with
coming
him.
to see you real quick.
Because I was talking nice to
Ooh,
Mike.
I
I was talking nice about Mike.
Keep my name
out of your mouth.
He was married, by the way, was John to Pat until his death. They met at the News Tribune while she was also working there covering bowling.
Wow. Shout out to Vandy's women's bowling team, too, by the way. They're still crushing it.
I didn't know there was a bowling beat, but I'm glad because John met his wife there.
Well, what was that? The 70s, 60s? I mean, 80s? I mean, it was probably
I'd
a
say
lot
80s.
more-
It's
a lot popular
probably
then.
80s.
The clubs were huge then, I'm sure.
He also wrote for Steel City Sports.
Yep.
Got a clue.
And was often a weekly guest up on Sports Talk Radio in Pittsburgh, too.
We'll come back. We have a weekly guest. It's Inky Johnson.
Yeah.
Give you some midweek motivation
Save
to
us,
finish
Ink.
off the show. Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
It's officially Window Nation's graduation set. Oh, Jay. And let me tell you why, too, man.
I wish you would.
If your old windows are failing or just not making the grade, here's your homework assignment. Call Window Nation and get to the head of the class with 0% finance for 5 full years. That's 60 months if you didn't know how to add, Jay. I know math. It really wasn't your
I'm a
thing.
radio host. I'm not a mathematician.
But I know you know
mathematologist.
this. You know this, though.
Physician.
Pretty much. Well, you can get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy
That's
for
4.
as many as you want. How many windows you got in your house?
A lot.
You can't add that up just real quick.
No, I have no idea.
But Window Nation has installed over 1 million windows in over 150,000 homes with a 96% needing no follow-up service. That means you don't have cracks. Hey, you need to come check this out. Angry wife, you don't want that when you get new windows at your house.
No, you don't. Also, 3 interceptions is ugly. It's kind of gross, right?
It's-
Especially if it happens in a playoff game.
It's iffy.
Well, and what about mold growing, causing structural damage to your home from leaky windows? I didn't know this, but leaky windows, mold can grow inside your home completely unnoticed, strictly because of the windows.
Yeah.
That right there, you need to take advantage of a deal when it's out there. Not to mention, if the windows aren't sealed right, if they're drafty, that just means you're spending a ton of money on energy. And it's about to be 90 today in the 60 dew points. It's going to be super steamy out there. You don't want that AC slipping out of those windows. Trusted by over 100,000 homeowners, over 10,000 positive reviews online. 200,000 windows last year for the company. That's 40 times more than the average window company. We're talking about Window Nation. 2 free windows every 2 you buy, as many as you need, no interest for 5 full years. And yes, that's 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. That's 60 months interest free. 2 free windows every 2 you buy. You're going to save thousands savings. You're only going to see once this year. The telephone number so that you can take advantage, Moan.
It's 866-90-NATION.
Again?
For the people in the back, it's 866-90-NATION.
Or online, windownation.com. Jay Martin Ramon finishing up on this Wednesday, starting to kind of read this Tariq Cohen letter to his younger self at the Players Tribune. Man, you just never know what people are dealing with and what they've gone through.
Yes, sir.
This story is something. I'm not all the way through it yet, but
Tariq
Cohen.
Oh, Tariq Cohen. He just put out something too?
He put an article out at the Players Tribune, a letter to his younger self. And he talks about, I'll read this piece real quick. He says, I mean, sure, the football side of things, that's going to be pretty great. But everything else, look, nothing I could write in this letter could possibly prepare you for everything that's about to happen. I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you. There's just so much. Looking back on it all, it almost doesn't seem real. There will be a big bag of crack cocaine. There will be a gun right there in your hand ready to shoot to help you get revenge. There will be death, unimaginable loss, and that's only for starters. It's going to be a lot. And you know what? I wouldn't fault you if you want to stop reading this letter right here. Not one bit.
Wowzers.
And it goes from there to describe decisions he made and his siblings running afoul of the law and stealing Jordans and all this other stuff. And this part, I'll read this real quickly too, and then we'll get to Ink. He says he basically sat them down and begged them to stop stealing and stop the drugs and stop some of the things they were doing. He says he sat down and he says, just give me a little more time. Lay low. Don't get any big trouble for a bit more. I'll make everything right for all of us once I get to the league. I got y'all. I promise. I'll buy you all the Jordans you want. Just give me a few years. The thing is, you won't have a few years. And I stopped there. I'm going to keep reading it after the show. But in bold, I guess from a little later on, it says, the day before your signing bonus hits, you won't have a cent to your name. So he had nothing he could give them as he was going into the league because of whatever is coming here that I haven't gotten to yet.
Whoa. I got to read that. Oh, that's good. You send that to me, man?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
That's awesome.
And that sounds like a perfect start for this.
Yeah, buddy.
Our brother Inky Johnson is on the line for some motivation. Ink, how are you this week?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I was listening. I caught the tail end of what you were reading, man. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, we need to read it and
it
talk
to
about
you.
it. As a Players Tribune, it's Tariq Cohen, a running back in the NFL now that played at North Carolina A&T. He wrote a letter to his younger self basically saying, hey, the next 10 years of your life, the first 10 were really hard. The next 10 are going to be an incredibly different challenge. So I'm only a bit of the way through it, but I'll get it to Mona. We'll make sure we get it to you. It seems like it's something worth hearing, to say the least, as or just about anything that you have for us. So we'll turn it over to you, and like I said, we'll get this to you because I think you could be blessed by it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. Man, I'm going to kick us off with a quote card, and it reads, let the hard things in life break you. Let them affect you. Let them change you. Let these hard moments inform you. Let this pain be your teacher. The experiences of your life are trying to tell you something about yourself. Don't cop out on that. Don't run away and hide under your covers. Lean into it. You know, it's an interesting thing. I told an individual earlier this week, I said, man, some of my greatest forms of growth have happened as a result of opposition, adversity, or unfortunate moments, or moments of uncertainty. And so the moment that we become open to experiences, the moment that we become open to people, the moment that we become open to life, we give ourselves the opportunity to not only learn from the things that we experience, but also to extract the lessons from it, to apply and add value to other areas and aspects of our life and other areas and aspects of places that we go into. And so I'm a big proponent of being able to look at an experience, gather perspective from the experience, and figure out a way to add value to the lives of others. I always say to people, don't waste the experience because it didn't show up in the form of what you expected. I'm going to say it again. Don't waste the experience because it didn't show up in the form of what you expected. And so I was doing a podcast yesterday with Jesus Calling, like big podcast, and they said, hey, Ink, what's next, man? What do you see for the next 10 years or 5 years? Like, what's down the line? What are you working toward? And I said, man, you know, to be honest, I'm working on being present, working on being a present father, working on being a present husband, working on being a present son, working on being a present big brother, working on being a present friend, right? Oftentimes we look so far ahead that we take for granted the present moments, the opportunities, and the people that we have right in front of us. And so when you go through things, you experience things, or things show up in your life that you didn't expect, do your best to be present, because that moment is trying to inform you, that moment is trying to be your teacher, and that moment is trying to tell you something about yourself. Don't cop out on it. Don't run away from it. Don't hide under your covers from it. Lean into it and let it teach you. That's my time.